We are brought to you by Boss Bears Supplements. That's Boss Bears Supplements at bossbears.co. Hard work, consistency, and determination are difficult to sustain when your mind and body can't keep up. Fuel your body with what it needs to perform like a boss. Whether you're closing deals, pitching a new business idea, or training in the gym, Boss Bears take your hustle to the next level. Our ingredients are the highest quality with potency and serving sizes that are the gold standard in the industry. Check out all of Boss Bear's products at bossbears.co. They have apple cider vinegar gummies. They have ashwagandha. They have all kinds of supplements in delicious gummy form. They also have them in pill form if you don't want the gummies. I prefer the gummies. They are delicious, and I've tried the apple cider vinegar. They are very good. Use code Nicky at checkout to save 10%. That's bossbears.co, code Nicky. We are brought to you by Clout Power Supplements. That's KLOUTPWR.com. So here I have the protein, the Cravings protein from Clout. This one is the salted caramel. This is some of the best protein that I've ever had in my life. It's actually delicious. I like the salted caramel and the cinnamon swirl are my two favorites. Also, their pre-workouts are amazing. So they have the Karma Nootropic pre-workout. It's a nootropic and focused pre-workout. It's a lower stimulant formula, zero itch formula. It has 4 trademark ingredients, and has fully dosed ingredients. So far, the Arctic Cherry is probably my favorite of the Karma pre-workout. Also, try the Nero Aminos from them. And also the High Stimulant Mamba is some of my favorite too. And I really like the Arctic Cherry of that one. So go to cloutpower.com and use code Nicky to save 15%. KLOUTPWR.com. Code Nicky to save 15%. All right, everybody, welcome to the Nicky Free Podcast. I am here once again with one of our favorite guests, Eddie Lowery. And Eddie, how are you, man?
Oh man, I'm overwhelmed, overjoyed to be here as always. First of all, thank you for having me again. It's always great to come back and just catch up with you, man.
Yes, sir. It's I appreciate you being here, man. So we're getting this podcast thing rolling again. So I think you've always been one of the really steady guests. So it's good to have you here, man.
Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. So also, I was gonna say congratulations on you and your wife are pregnant right now.
Yes,
so
yes. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty sick. So that's you've been wanting to be a dad for a while, huh?
I think I wanted to be a dad since when I figured out that you could be a dad.
Yeah.
Being a dad is something that it's not like anything that you would you think about. Oh my God. Who am I going to be when I grow up? Am I going to be a police officer, a firefighter? Am I a doctor? Am I going to be a stay-at-home bum? You don't really know what you want to be when you grow up. But there's something that we can all be. If as men, we can, if we have the right partner, if life lines up all right, we can create life. And I don't think there's anything more beautiful than the idea of doing that, of saying, hey, this is my thing, my beautiful thing to mold and sculpt into someone much better than I was, so I can tell it, hey, this is where my parents screwed up at, and this is where I screwed up as a child. I want to see if I can maybe have you, as my child, not make the same mistakes I made, or avoid the parenting disasters that my parents have made as well.
Right, give them like a better setup than, I don't know, it's weird, like you're almost trying to like, in your own life, you're trying to get better all the time, so you're better than you were 10 years ago, now you actually even want your offspring to be, you want to like keep teaching them better, so that like along, somewhere down the line, I don't know, I feel like there is something about that, I don't know, I feel like you always want to like make your parents proud too, you know what I mean? Like, yes. And they weren't perfect, and then you wanted to be better than them, and then you want, I don't know, have your kids be better than that even still, so.
Absolutely, man, and it's just like you said right there. I was listening to E.T. say that there was everybody every single year, you're always upgrading everything in your life. You want a new car, you want a new iPhone, I bet you got the newest iPhone. You cannot wait for the next one to come out for the newest. Double tap the screen in this corner and see what happens. Are we upgrading our lives? Is the real question here.
Right.
What are you doing to improve yourself? Are you consistently waking up? Are you trying to improve your physical image so you can look at yourself in the mirror with body positivity, not just saying the words body positivity, but actually physically looking in the mirror saying, I'm proud of who I am inside and out. That's a very rare quality for human beings to have, especially in the fitness industry. We get body dysmorphia and all these weird things that come associated with positive growth. We also have this very dark side that we hide and we don't talk about, where we judge ourselves for our shortcomings when they're really not shortcomings. We're just a work in progress. But how many people forget oh my goodness, I want this person to be better than me, and but what are we doing to ourselves to really set that standard? So that's something that I've really been asking myself a lot lately. How am I personally improving? Am I bettering myself physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, everything? Am I being better? If I'm not being better in a certain category, that's where I start to feel those negative feelings, because I wonder what type of man am I going to be for the future generation in my household. Like me and my wife, we created this beautiful thing. We don't cheat on each other. We try not to argue or yell at each other. We try to be very respectful and just talk out our problems, because most of our issues in life come from outside, not from between me and her. I don't go out there and try to, offend her or piss her off, and she doesn't do the same thing to me. We just love each other, and we're not always going to get it right. But
I imagine,
how do we
dude, that's
create
gotta
the
be
next
tough.
generation, man?
Yeah, because I'm single, so I'm like, and I always think of that. There's like every once in a while you'll meet somebody that's like makes you think like, okay, I could not be single, and then, but then there's so many options, like with you got like Tinder and all this stuff, and it's like, just none of it seems like, how do you even know when it's the right one, dude? Like, that's probably tough. Like,
well, there is my story is we started very young, and we started with a friendship, and that friendship, there was something unique about it. I felt in my heart and emotionally, but this is my circumstance. It might not apply to everybody, but I felt something sucking at me at all times, and it was like later down the road I didn't realize this, that feeling, like I felt nervous all the time that if I didn't make this relationship work, I would regret it later in life. I felt a feeling of foresight.
So it took work.
It took work, but it also took me understanding, like, is this worth giving up on just because my life circumstances are difficult?
Right.
Am I going to let that impede my relationship? No.
So you had almost become a better version of you just to make the relationship work.
100% I needed to, because I wasn't a great person when I met her, and she made me a better person. And there's not words.
I hear that a lot, actually, like with people when they're with somebody, it actually, like, they made them a better person. It's like, so I think that's probably a good sign.
Well, for you, man, I would say that, hey, you be single until you decide, hey, I don't think I want to live life alone anymore.
Yeah,
and then you try. And relationships or love are like you and your partner on two different fucking planets, completely separate. You have no idea what's going on in their planet, in their world, until you create that baseline, start a friendship, and then that friendship develops into something very strong. If you don't have a strong foundation, a building will be easily knocked off by an earthquake. A death in the family could cause somebody to spiral into depression, and they don't feel comfortable opening up with you. Right. And then you lose your relationship because they're grieving and they don't know how to process it. So love, I think it really does find you. You don't really find it. It just shows up when you stop looking for it, man. So just as long as you're not looking for love, it'll show up.
Yeah, that's what I figured that out along. Yeah. You just don't look for it. Like it's cheesy, but they always say you just work on yourself. Yeah. You love yourself, you work on yourself, and then it'll come to you. But yeah, it's the other thing I noticed though is like when you are trying to date or like looking around, it's like so many red flags nowadays. It's like, how do you even find somebody that's, I don't know, we're in a weird spot in society where like not everybody even really wants to like settle down or have kids or like, there's too many options. Like, hey, they got their OnlyFans go. It's like
there's so many options, man. And I think that's what it makes it very difficult for me to see all my friends struggle with. Yeah. And as we grow older, often our hearts grow colder because we're scared of living alone.
Right.
It becomes a very real fear, and it's not shameful or corny or stupid to say that. It's a real fear that I had for a lot of my years as a child. Am I ever gonna heal from my parents?
Yes.
Horrible divorce and the drama, and then the relationship issues. My real dad, my stepdad. What's going on? Like it. I was very nervous, and so
Right.
as soon as I found somebody right, I wanted to latch onto that. But it's hard to do that in this day and age because there's so many people who think that their value is in outside attention instead of placing their own value on themselves. Like what I said earlier about looking in the mirror and seeing who you are for yourself. And there's a lot of people who do not know how to treat men and treat women. There's
right.
You don't need to put somebody on a pedestal just because of their gender or whatever the hell. But you have to talk to somebody like they're a human being on the same platform as you. And for us to even table those conversations, you can't look at this person as, oh, well, I can't wait to just have sex and then leave. If we keep moving as a society for like the temporary, any
temporary stuff doesn't work, no,
and not at all. But I don't want to speak too candidly, but
but that's what it is right now. It's like hookup culture.
It's like hookup culture.
You end up feeling shitty. It doesn't work. It's like,
you know what? Lil Wayne said, as soon as I come to my senses.
Well, that's yeah.
It's a scary.
That's a bad one too. They call that post-nut clarity.
Post-nut clarity. That's what it's called.
Yeah, post-nut clarity.
Post-nut clarity.
That's why you. I think as you get older, you know not to make that mistake. So like you're like really careful before you hook up with someone because you're like, I don't want to feel like that. You want it to be, at least if it's not going to be a long-term thing, you want it to at least be mutual and fun and like you both like each other. You don't want that thing where you're just like trying to get a fix, like a drug, and you just like you find whatever drug you can get, and then afterwards you completely regret it and you're like disgusted with yourself. I think a lot of people have that story.
I think that that is something,
and that's girls and guys where they'll hook up with somebody because they were just like, maybe they felt a little lonely and they had a moment of weakness or something, and then you hook up with someone that you really didn't want to, and afterwards you're just like, oh, why did I do that?
No regrets, right?
Yeah, but you can't regret it. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Move on. As long as you didn't get a disease or something, you're good. Like,
and that's a huge scary thing. Everything that you just mentioned is so it makes me worry about everybody else around me that are single, that are having hookups and stuff, because where are you really happy? Is like my friends, they go out every chance they get, they smash, and then they're like, man, I wish I had something like you and your wife have. And I'm not saying that that's not the path to find it, because you could find it. But what are you doing that really makes you happy? One of my main concerns in this day and age is, and not to shame people that have OnlyFans, because I think any way to get money is better than selling drugs on the streets and pimping out fentanyl to these people.
Right.
So
that's a huge
So I'm never going to
problem.
sit here and say that selling pictures of your body and being proud of yourself is an inappropriate way to make money. Go get your money, girl and guy.
Yeah.
Go get your money. I'm not here to knock you, but how many people are growing up in a culture where they pour money into people on OnlyFans?
It's sad.
Whack it or flip the bean or whatever, and then afterwards, like, what do you have? You just lost money on a not real encounter, a sexual encounter. You didn't even actually have any human connection with somebody. And I think that human connection and just the connectivity, like even us being in the same room talking, that's why podcasts are so interesting.
I know, yeah.
Because
that's
this is
fun,
a connection.
Dude.
Human beings need to be connected.
Right.
And if we spend all of our time doing this, scrolling on social media or obsessing this when our partner is right next to us.
Yep.
Or when our friends are right next to us, instead of putting the phone down and saying, I want some real human connection.
It is wild, dude. You'll like, you'll be with your friends or girlfriend or whatever, watch a movie or something, and you're both on your phones. And it's like, so you're watching a screen and you're on another screen, and then you're not really putting any time into each other.
I catch myself doing that, and it really frustrates. I get really mad at myself. My wife's like, "You seem grumpy sometimes," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's hard for me to admit why all the time when I get frustrated with myself, but I get frustrated with myself so often when I'm squandering opportunity. Like I was stationed across the country from her for 4 fucking years.
Yep.
And I deployed and all these things, and I missed her every single second of my time away from her.
Right.
And here I am years later, so comfortable on my phone next to her when I could be like, when I could just be like holding her, hearing her heartbeat is the craziest thing. She's carrying my child. She's carrying my fucking
That's
child.
gonna be weird because now you got a little heartbeat in there.
A little
too.
heartbeat
Like,
in there
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Like who am I? And I feel ashamed for, like, right now. This is like, even saying this is reminding me of how it's crazy, the things we take for granted.
Oh, 100%.
And human connection is so important. If we like forgo that, we're gonna lose our sense of.
It is the most important thing, and it's right there. And I always wonder what keeps us from that. It is weird, like, people almost make it like a. Because I've gotten older now, so I'm like much more like, I really do not give a fuck, like, and it's like. And I said that when I went home, I was with my family, and it really, really was really good because it reminded me that I have these people who love me no matter what, right?
100%.
So being with my family gave me this strength of, like, I just don't feel as scared, and maybe I should feel more scared of, like, maybe I say the wrong thing or I get canceled or I do. It gave me this real, like,
reassurance
feeling of, like, I can be honest because it doesn't matter. I could, like, say the wrong thing, get canceled, get, like, offend somebody, whatever here, and it wouldn't matter because I still have my family and friends back home that no matter what, they're going to love me. You know what I mean? So it was like, so it kind of made me, like, a little bit more like, you know what, why don't you, like, don't self-censor yourself as much. Obviously I have a business, I have clients, so I need to, like, be aware that, and I don't want to just be an asshole either, but I've gotten much more, like, if there's something I believe in, and it's the truth and it's honest, I'm like, I'm going to say it, you know, like, and not just, like, go up and unsolicited advice people. No, and I don't even care what people do. Like, but if I'm going to post something that is something honest and true and it happens to offend you, like, that's your problem, not mine.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think more people actually need to do that. I think that might be how we fix society. Like,
well, there's this really interesting thing that's happening right now. Each and every second of every day in the United States of America and in other countries, because of people who deploy and people who show up in the dark and do things to horrible people who try to censor people, and who won't let people have a voice, who won't let women speak out of turn without the living shit getting beaten out of them, and they can't speak, they have no voice, all their power is gone. In our country here, we think we see so much good, we forget how bad it can get.
Right.
There are people each and every second of every day for the past, I don't even know how long, since I would say since the inception of our nation, who have done horrible things to people who will openly terrorize, destroy, and harm others just so they can feel a sense of power, so they can feel a sense of comfortability. Now, those same people have died, killed, seen their brothers and sisters die, and killed some more, and died some more, and bled a whole lot, just so you and me can sit in this room, and for 15 to an hour or whatever, granted, we can sit here and speak whatever we want, and no one can take that away from us, because we have this amazing thing in our country called the First Amendment.
I think that's why I'm so scared about First Amendment, because it seems like right now people do not give a fuck about it, and I don't think they know what they're doing. I don't think they realize where that goes.
No, we have to speak truth, and we have to have open dialogue about things. I might say, you know what? I think people with brown hair are fucking stupid, and they're horrible, and you can be like, people with brown hair aren't. That doesn't mean you're stupid.
But me silencing you wouldn't solve any problem.
No,
it wouldn't get. You know what I mean? That's like. Like they always say, it's like the answer to bad speech is good speech. So like that's the only thing. But it's not shutting down the bad speech, because who's to say, who gets to decide what the bad speech is and what the good speech is?
You don't want it to be the government. I'll tell you that
that's the problem. There's way too much trust in these, like, this daddy government will just take care of me.
It will not.
I don't want to be an adult. You know what's weird? We have this thing in our society, this word adulting. And we all hate this idea of, like, adulting. And it's like, actually, we need to start embracing the idea that we should become adults.
Yes.
And we should have, like, responsibility for our lives. And with that comes responsibility. But people don't want it. So they're like, oh, I just want the government to take care of me. And I just never want to grow up and play video games and be a kid for the rest of my life. And if I have to do anything that's even remotely, like, uncomfortable or not fun, it's, oh, this is adulting sucks. It's like, no, that's just life. That's your responsibility. You should be happy you can do that.
Yeah,
I heard this really good quote. I think it was actually like somebody repeating what Robert F. Kennedy said, and he was like talking about like there's worse fates than death, and I think one of them would be living in this thing where they just tell us everything to do. We have no rights. Here's your job, Eddie. This is what you're assigned to.
Sounds like North Korea.
You know, that's what I'm saying, dude. I think that's what freaks me out about like when people get really like too trusting in like the elite powers and the government and stuff. And it's like, you think that believing them, giving your trust to them is going to lead to some happy, good life where like everything's free and you get to do whatever you want. That's not what it's going to lead to. It's like, it's going to lead to like, this is your assigned job. Oh, you don't want to do it? Well, you're dead now. Like, that's what it's going to lead to, you know, like.
There's been things that have popped up over the past, I would say, like 8 years. I've seen a major uptick in certain phrases that are used.
Yeah.
Fascism has been used a lot.
Yeah.
Calling people Nazis has been used a lot.
Yeah.
Villainizing people for political gain has happened. There's just plain old smear campaigns. Mm-hmm. And we also have seen a major uptick in people starting to believe the nonsense that the news puts out there. I think Kanye West said it himself in a track on Watch the Throne. He said, grab your kids, watch a movie because ain't nothing on the news but the blues. There could not be anything more true about that. If you spend all your time listening to people who get paid for ad revenue spew the most negative stuff without any repercussions, if they're wrong, they might release a corrective thing later, like oh, I messed up. That's not true.
They barely ever correct themselves.
They'll never
They pretend, they don't ever go back and say, we were wrong.
Never.
They kind of slowly change what they say once they realize they're wrong, but they never go back and be like, you know what, we got that wrong. You know, like.
Well, it's crazy. You know, we've seen this major, and I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump. We've seen a huge, for years there was this focus on this guy on the news across all mainstream media, like even Fox, which I guess is like super Republican,
which worked against them because they didn't want him to win, and it probably helped him win.
They just spewed just nothing but negative about him,
right?
And people, the whole narrative around the country was he was this guy who I've never met. I don't know him, like that he's bad, and you'd hear people saying just what they heard on the news instead of doing research for themselves.
Well, they created a caricature of him that is not real. I think
that's a dangerous thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people have this idea of who that guy is that I think is nothing representative of who he actually is. I mean, I think they do that a lot. You know, they create a caricature, and it's like, so like they basically think this dude is like this evil Nazi, and he's totally trying to turn us into some like fascist dictatorship.
Dictatorship.
I'm like, I think that's already happening right now. You know, it's like, I don't know, dude. It's weird. I think, what was the quote somebody said? Oh, there's a guy named Jimmy Dore. He's like an independent journalist and stuff, and he goes hard if you ever watch his stuff. But he's like, we shouldn't be mad at the people who voted for Donald Trump. We should be mad at the system that caused them to be so desperate that they would vote for a game show host. You know, so like that's who you should be mad at, the elite fucking powers who are in charge of our government that made people that desperate that the only option that they saw fit was Donald Trump to save them.
Well, I've had that same emotion towards people who voted for the current sitting president of the United States. I mean, we're talking about the same guy who sat there on national television and said, if you don't know whether to vote for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
You ain't black. Yeah.
At what level? Like, I don't like sitting here and just being a random black guy or whatever. But at what point do us as black people say maybe we should start Killer Mike said it. We need to start demanding you have to earn the vote.
Right.
The power only stays inherent in the people where you make people earn the vote. You can't you have to sit there with your whole community. It starts at a lower level. It starts at a lower level. You get everybody, community leaders, you say, listen, these are the things we want. Let's all get together, have a town hall meeting. This doesn't happen anymore, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Have a town hall community meeting at a church where the government can't harass us because we have, different things that protect churches.
Yes.
A place of gathering. And we sit there and have a discussion. What are the things that we need for our area to prosper, regardless of our race, religion, creed, sexual orientation, whatever?
Yeah.
Now we have that. All right. Who are these people who want want our vote? Tell them to come and meet us here at our town hall meeting, and we're going to have an open, honest conversation. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of open, honest conversation. I'm seeing a lot of politicians who have been in politics their whole career who have nothing. They know nothing about what it's like to be us.
Right.
And they sit there and they just
and they don't. They're very out of touch. Very out of touch.
Selective questions from the same news organizations that are just putting up whatever they want. They take and that's who we're supposed to watch.
Well, and I do think
Where's the
that
town hall meetings.
I think that might even be one of the reasons why Trump was so successful, because like whether you like him or not, like he is in touch with like what regular people are thinking. You know what I mean? That's why he's so good at like getting people to like him.
Dude, he says
so
some
like
stuff that makes me laugh so hard.
That's what I'm saying. So like he's in touch. He's like with the modern culture where, like you said, most politicians are so out of touch that it's ridiculous.
Old senile Nancy Pelosi,
Joe
Biden. You mean the same guy?
Well, he's
who pushed
like
the crime bill.
Right, even before he was, when he was,
crime bill?
even when he had his brain, yeah, he wasn't a great guy. Like, that's the thing. It's weird.
You talk about the 3 strike rules.
Yeah, especially for African American,
blacking up black people.
You know what?
One
other point.
Kamala.
One other point I was gonna say about what you said is, it's like, and when are they gonna like let black people be individual human beings?
Yes.
Instead of lumping you, so like, well, if you ain't black, you ain't voting for. If you ain't black. Or if you're not voting for me, you ain't black. And it's like, so you're basically saying all black people are just a caricature, and they always vote Democrat, and they all think the same. Like, that's actually racist blue, what he said. Isn't it? Like,
horribly racist. And there's some guy, this guy, I've seen him all over the place lately. Vivek Ramaswamy.
It's Vivek. It rhymes with Kate.
Okay, Vivek. All
right. Vivek, yeah.
So
he's my boy. I love Vivek.
He said some really interesting thing. He said that the American people can handle the truth. We need to start speaking it. We need to start having open dialogue and conversation. And censorship is not what's going to take our country back for the people.
Right.
Not for a government. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying let's revolt and fuck things up. I'm not saying that. But
no, we're not there yet.
We can solve a lot of our problems just by having a conversation. You can disagree with a lot of what I'm going to say, but I still want to hear what you think, what's in your heart. You're a person who has value. You have feelings and concerns. You have a family, I'm sure. I'm sure you'd want the future generations to have something to hold on to. It starts with conversations. And we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to agree. But one thing we can do is have nuanced conversations, bring information to the table, disagree, have open and honest debates about things we don't agree upon. Mm-hmm. Or we can say, hey, it was nice, but I don't want to talk to you because
which is really hard to do. But actually, Vivek's really good at that.
It's alarming.
Being able to sit across from somebody without getting elevated, he stays calm, And I've seen people do this. I actually watched, and I think it's probably a topic me and you don't want to get into because like we probably don't know enough about it, or like I don't at all. But they had what is it? Wassim Youssef, I think his name is. He's like a Palestinian Jon Stewart, basically.
Okay.
It's weird. He's a crazy story. So like, he was actually a surgeon, but his dream was like, he loved Jon Stewart and he wanted to like do that, but like in his country, which is unheard of because like they don't let people talk like that. So obviously he eventually got like kicked out of his country.
What country?
Well, he's Palestinian, I believe. So I'd have to do some research. So
because there's like okay.
So he started doing the Jon Stewart thing, which was like, hey, criticizing his government, but you can't do that in those countries
the
over
government
there.
in specifically in Gaza. We don't have a normal government like we'd see in other countries. Sadly, we have a government that's controlled by a terrorist organization called Hamas.
Yes, and that's what they. But it was him and a Jewish guy had this conversation, and I was like, it was crazy that they were able to without getting more elevated than they did. I was like. Because it was heated, but I was like, good on them.
There's a lot to when people are dying. There's so much emotion that comes to us as human beings. There's nothing great about war. The war that's happening over there, it's horrible. It's horrible. Babies dying, mothers dying, adults dying, anybody dying,
and not just dying. It's like rape and pillage. I mean, it's literal terrorism. That's what terrorism means. It's like not just what you're doing is to hurt people. You want also to literally terrorize people that didn't get hurt, just that watch it, that it's that horrible. That's like...
And it's horrible, dude. I mean, if you look at... I'm not sitting here saying that anyone over there from Israel is doing a positive thing, because I'm not over there. I'm not over there I'm not witnessing what's going on.
Right.
And the response I've heard of is there could be propaganda. I could get bad information, so I don't want to speak on that. But one thing I can say is when you're dealing with terrorism, there are so many. How do I approach this as a person who's making a decision? There's a lot of parts come into it, and it's extremely complex. You can't fight terrorism necessarily in a nice way, and it's hard to tiptoe around.
And I think that was one of the points.
How do you know who's actually a terrorist and who's not? Is a crazy question that Tim Kennedy brought up in a podcast.
Man, that guy.
Can you tell me someone that looks like they're in Al Qaeda?
Someone what now?
Can you describe someone that's from Al Qaeda?
Oh no, I couldn't.
Because it's
an
idea.
I don't know.
It's an
I mean,
ideology.
I could come up with some super racist, like over the top, fucking like fake character that would be something on South Park or something. You know what I mean? But no, you couldn't fucking tell in real life
because it's someone's ideology, and it's hard to say, oh, this person's not, this person is. Let's shoot this person because
well, that's what freaks me out when you see real terrorism, and then when you see people like our government calling people over here domestic terrorists that are really just some fat guy that went to a fucking rally. You know, like you know what I mean? It's like that guy is not a terrorist. That's like he just got caught up in some shit that he shouldn't have. You know, was on the wrong message boards. Next thing you know, he's in the fucking Capitol. You know, like
oh man,
that ain't a terrorist. That's different. Like
a domestic terrorist. Someone who shoots up a school.
That's a domestic
terrorist. That's a fucking domestic terrorist.
Yeah.
You know what we should do to people like that?
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Not a fucking.
Schwack 'em.
Not some fucking MAGA 40-year-old mom that just happened to.
40-year-old mom.
I believe in this, and I'm going to the Capitol.
I can't wait to go rally with President Trump.
It's like, no, I'm sorry. That's just not the same fucking
terrorism?
thing.
I saw someone. There was a image, and for all the gun people out there would love this. These moments are hilarious. Someone had a holster on, a leather holster, and the gun was facing on her right hip.
Okay.
And the gun was facing the wrong way, like you're going to reach across your body and grab it like this, pull it up, get it out to where you can index it without flagging your own elbow, and then draw it on the target.
So that's like gun comedy.
It's just gun
That's
comedy,
like stuff if you know about something and somebody else is doing something funny, like only the people really in the know realize how funny it is.
And she had the MAGA hat on. I'm like, is this your king? Are these the
Wow.
domestic
And if
terrorists
they
you're
were
talking
really trying to take over, they would have brought their guns with them, and nobody really had guns.
I'll
know
tell you what. There are a lot of people in our country who understand the importance of violence and choose to avoid it because to be a responsible gun owner, right? I'm not saying that I'm a super, what do they call it now, ultra mega. I'm not no ultra mega person out here.
No,
but
that's not what I'm saying either. No.
But to be a responsible gun owner, you have to understand that the last thing you want to ever do is put lead into a human being,
right?
Because that's a life on the other side of that. It's somebody's mother.
Yeah.
They're somebody's kid. You know.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like we're going to go take down the government because a lot of people on the right do like guns. So if they were really trying to take over the government, I think they would have brought their guns with them.
It would have been a different story. Yeah. It would have been a horrible thing if people were actually stormed the Capitol with firearms.
Yes.
And tried to remove life of the peace.
This was a rally that went wrong. You know, that's what I think. So.
Well, there at some I think they released all the footage or whatever.
Yeah.
I was watching some of the videos and people are walking, escorted by the Capitol Police on a red carpet between the things through the halls of the building. I'm like, this looks like a guided tour to me. I don't know. But there are people who were rioting there. And
there were bad people there. Trust me. I agree too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and say it's all good in the hood or whatever. But,
no, I wouldn't. I don't want to like condone that or anything.
But the people who cannot walk, who were in wheelchairs, rolling through there after using the ADA ways of getting inside the building. Like I don't know, like ADA. Maybe they used the elevators and going through it in their wheelchair, just rolling. Are these the domestic terrorists you're talking about?
That's what I'm saying, dude.
How many years are they getting locked up?
They're trying to get a lot of traction out of this one thing, and it's not.
Hold people accountable for what they've done, not some people for just being there. I mean, guilty by association.
Well, also you got to think there was a lot of probably entrapment. There was probably people on message boards, FBI agents stirring up shit. You know what I mean? Like,
hey,
that's like that happens, dude.
We have literal TV shows about it, and there's documents that have been leaked over the years about the government being involved in different things.
Yep.
it would not. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it would not surprise me if there was at some level any. It could have been a rogue agent. It could have been just somebody that didn't care about their job that was like, "Hey, come on in, guys."
Yeah, but think about it. Our FBI would be a shitty FBI if they weren't doing that. Oh, God. You don't get to say like. You got to think like the actual chances that they weren't doing that is like
extremely high.
Well, no, I mean the chances that the FBI wasn't doing that would mean that our FBI sucks because I'm sure like the reason we don't get a lot of terrorism is because they probably are doing undercover shit all the time 100%. Online. So they should be doing that, is what I'm saying.
I
and not doing that like, hey, I want to stir up the regular population and get them in trouble. That's wrong if they actually did that. But I'm saying like they should be embedded in like any little thing that comes up on the internet that might I mean, if you're going to be watching us and surveilling us all the time, you better be making sure like we're safe at least.
I really do.
Like
when it like let's look at this from a protection of our government assets area. When we look at a very large group of people amassed outside of any government meeting, it may turn south.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everyone showed up there to subvert the system that we have here in our democratic republic that is protecting other people's rights. But for us to maintain a system of democracy and to protect our constitutional republic that we have here that's based off of, the American values, we need to make sure that our assets are protected. If a big group showed up there and there was...
We almost should have FBI agents in there.
We should have FBI agents everywhere, but don't be the Capitol police officer that goes like this on video.
That's what I'm saying. That's what makes it wrong.
Don't be the guy that goes, "Come on in." That's not a good idea.
I actually think like the FBI would be doing a good job if they have agents like embedded in places where people don't know they are, so they could protect, like you said,
maybe they'll catch more sex traffickers.
But the problem is if they actually saw an opportunity to make it worse so that they could use it politically, that's what I would have a problem with.
I would definitely.
And there's definitely some evidence to say that might have happened.
There may or may not be some information that's out there about that, and
I think that's going to come out later. Like people might be horrified that we're saying this right now, but I bet in a year or so, it won't be even that big of a thing because it'll come out. Yeah,
I think that every time. Well, I'm not saying every time, but a majority of these conspiracies that show up. I'm not talking about Alex Jones.
I hate the word conspiracy though,
but it usually means.
Because
give it 6 to 12 months.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's like not even conspiracies. It's like, I don't know. You can say the truth, and it's like you're a conspiracy theorist in 2024.
Or we can just see stuff that would make us think that could be evidence to us that this is truth.
Right. And we can always be wrong too.
I'm fine with being wrong.
And
let me know I'm wrong so I can be right, please.
But the thing is, like, you have a right to be wrong.
Yes.
That's what the U.S. is, dude. So we can say stuff and be wrong, and that's our right. Like,
what's really crazy is that I think we have an outdated policing system for domestic terrorists. We have an outdated policing system for people who look to actually subvert the system in our country. And it's not and it's at the legislative level, not at the I got this new smartphone technology and I can listen to, it wouldn't be surprising me if there's people that were able to listen to my phone right now. I mean,
they definitely are. They definitely are. So yesterday I was at work at the bar and I was talking to my buddy Tyler and we're joking around about like, I'm like, shit, dude. I was like, I'm just kidding. I'm like, if you want to get healthy, I was like, all you got to do is just eat really high protein, cut out the sugar. I'm like, get on them Zen pouches. Take a lot of caffeine. I'm like, you'll be lean in no time, and I'm kidding, So I was talking about caffeine and nicotine. And like 2 seconds later, I get this ad for some brand of fucking like caffeine nicotine pouches on my phone. And I'm like, so that was fast.
If a government, so if Google and Apple and all these companies can just do that based off of what you say.
Well, dude, Google's bad.
What about the government? I mean, the government can do great things. The government can also do a small government can do a lot of great things because the power represents for the people. We have a lot of bureaucrats who will say that and advocate for things that do intrude on our privacy. At the same time, if we didn't, would we catch the small amount? Would the U.S. Marshals be able to capture the sex predators out there, the people who are peddling child pornography out there?
Right.
That's not something that's usually dealt with at a local police department level or at a sheriff department level.
Right.
Those are task forces with federal funding that are able to use that technology to do that. And there's nothing more important in this day and age than protecting the youth. When I was a kid, you know, I've said it before, and I'll try to be pretty open about it now because I've gone through a lot of healing. But being preyed upon as a child by a pedophile is the most disgusting, abhorrent thing that could ever happen to somebody, and it took me a lot of years to heal from that shit.
Oh yeah, dude. There's
We got to keep kids safe, man.
I mean, we had a priest that was like that. I'm pretty sure. Like, you know what I mean? And there, I've heard so many like that stuff happens more than you think.
And
you know what I mean?
And it kills me, man, because like
and it happens to girls, boys, everybody. Like
everybody. It's not a girl issue or
no.
just pedophiles are gonna pedophile. And
like men don't talk about it either. It's yeah.
It hurts me that the guys feel that it's shameful for us to talk about something that there's nothing weak about saying that you've been abused.
No.
Sean Strickland that went on a podcast with Theo Vaughn and talked about it, and I thought it was it was one of the most beautiful moments. We have an MMA fighter who is. He can definitely be an asshole, and he has some views that I don't fuck with at all, right? I don't fuck with dehumanizing people and calling people fags and stuff like that. It's horrible language that he's used.
Right.
In front
but
of
he
the
maybe
world.
has a reason that he hates that kind of people.
You know,
maybe.
and
if something he's lumping them in with he's lumping gay people in with somebody who happened to be an abuser.
I would never be able to make that distinction if it wasn't for my life experience of me understand that. Because in the 90s, parents around me, I'm not going to say my parents because my parents didn't do this, but they lumped people who were into kids along with the LGBTQIA plus community. And it's very easily to get that for that negative BS to be put out there to
which
the
is
world.
so not true.
It's not
it's not true at all.
Pedophiles have nothing to do with being gay. Has nothing. It doesn't mean you like kids.
Well, that's what I think I said. So going back to the thing where I said I hate when the government just lumps like all black people together. Like, well, of course you're gonna vote Democrat if you ain't voting for me. You ain't black. I hate when they do that to LGBTQ too. Like, stop assuming they all think the same fucking way. And I just hate grouping people in big groups. It's like, no, they're all individuals. Mm-hmm. So black people, LGBTQ, any minority, they're as diverse individuals with all different thoughts, hopes, dreams, passions, likes, dislikes that are as diverse as every other human. So can we stop fucking just assuming everybody in this group, they all think like this?
No.
It's like, stop fucking doing that. That is so
stereotypical.
Well, and it is racist. It's homophobic to do that. So the people that think they're the least racist and least homophobic are the most, in my opinion.
I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I liked.
And almost worse than a straight up fucking blatant racist. At least you know who that guy fucking is.
100%.
Then somebody's like, well, I have to protect you because I'm white and means I'm better than you, so I need to like walk on eggshells. You know what I mean? Like,
someone called me.
I fucking hate that shit, dude. Like,
someone called me oppressed one time. I'm not going to talk about here about what happened afterwards, man. But somebody called me oppressed. Just
you're like, bitch, I'm not.
One time, I fucking lost my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't imagine, dude. But they do it to LGBTQ, Asian, every minority.
Hispanic, Latins.
Oh yeah, that.
Latinos,
Oh, they're all gonna vote Democrats. Like, how do you know that? Because I know a lot that don't think like that.
I have so many friends that just want to be left alone in this country, make a life for them and their family, smoke their weed, shoot their guns, celebrate life and love it, and that. But that's like kind of feeds back to what I said about Sean, man, when he said,
get back to that.
I was preyed upon as a child. That saying that on a platform with a lot of people listening, it empowers people to say, and it definitely empowered me to be comfortable saying, hey, he's not the only one it happened to. I've got a bunch of friends who are preyed. I got a lot of guy friends who have serious issues right now with alcoholism because
it stems from
they're
that.
trying to numb that sexual trauma that happened to them.
Yep.
And now as a guy saying that, it helps me connect on some crazy level. I'm able to connect to a woman who's had sexual trauma, and I can understand. Wow, the things you must go through on a daily basis, preyed upon.
Oh yeah.
Ladies are preyed upon like a piece of meat so often, right?
Yeah, even more so than us, I think. More so than men, I would say.
I would say so because.
Well, because it's men. It's men that usually are the ones that do the preying on.
Not always, but yes.
Yeah,
but,
not always. Yeah, we should say not always because I don't want to
often.
do the same thing I was just saying. I hate when people group everything together. Yeah.
Yeah, but
not
often.
always. Yeah.
But definitely most often.
Statistically, probably way more often. Yeah.
So I was listening to this crazy idea, and I'm like, wow. Well, if we can connect just on any level with somebody,
And that does help connect. Yeah, yeah.
We can start to heal.
Well, you know another thing. So like, some people don't even remember that stuff because they block it out that it happened. And then another thing people do is like they will try to. Some people that go through that kind of sexual trauma at a young age will engage in like very highly sexualized lives later in life because they're trying to normalize it to make it seem like it wasn't as big a deal. So they're trying to like have the same kind of sex that maybe that happened to them when they were young to make it seem like it was normal.
Or to have enough sex to where that memory fades
away. They're trying to wipe it out almost. Yes. It's like, so
we can never erase trauma. And one of my good friends said this to me, that, dude, you're never going to be okay with what happened.
No, you're just
never going to be okay.
Yeah.
But you can live. You can choose life. And when I say choose life, I'm not talking about don't abort a baby. When I say choose life, I'm not talking about don't commit suicide, even though I wish I could scream that from every mountaintop.
Yeah.
I say choose life, I mean choose to live.
Yeah.
Dude.
Don't let it define you, basically.
Don't let it define you.
Yeah.
Don't let your dreams die.
Yeah.
Don't give up on life.
And then I think also you'd be surprised how many people you maybe look up to who are super successful have, like you said, this guy was on a podcast talking about it. That opens up a door for many other people to be like, wow, but he's successful and he's not letting it ruin his life. And like, so now I see a path where like, oh, I don't have to do that. I don't know, dude. So that's why it is helpful when people are brave enough. And I think it is bravery to talk about, like I've been lucky on this podcast, people have done that kind of thing, talk about suicide, talk about eating disorders, these things that are like very serious. But not in a way that is like, I need attention, I'm a victim, feel bad for me. It's more like empowering. You know what I mean? Because there is a difference.
That's right.
And it's always out of a healthy way where they're talking about it in a brave way that I think helps other people that have dealt with similar things.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Man, you're just speaking. You're speaking straight to my soul, my brother. And this is one of the reasons why I think it's very important, especially in this day and age where women's spaces for women, where women's voices, where women's rights, all these things are a talking point for politicians. They're a talking point for organizations that are removing the ability for protected spaces.
Right.
And it's very important in this day and age to be as men, we have to advocate for our women. I'm not saying we have to speak for them.
No.
I'm saying
you're always good about that, man.
I'm not saying put women on a pedestal either, because women are just they can do that to themselves. They can be great on their own. But
yes.
we have to as men, it's important for us in relationships to support our ladies as best as we can. And I'm a big proponent of failing at that often. I fail
you get better
very
at
often.
it.
And my wife is very gracious about how she lets me know, hey, I need this type of support from you. Mm-hmm. And dude, I wish I could get it right every time. It killed me.
But it's like failing is how you get better at shit. So that is like.
But I'm trying, man.
But at least you're trying. Yeah.
And if we do that with ladies in every way, shape, or form, we support women in gun communities. We support women when it comes to, hey, that guy is starting to stare at you from across the room, and when you walked away, he slipped something in your drink. I poured the drink out and I socked that motherfucker in the face. Mm-hmm. That is one way to deal with it. Another way is to ask ourselves as guys, why are women doing things differently? How come all girls go to the bathroom together?
Yeah.
I asked a lady this, and she said, well, so we don't get followed in by somebody.
Yeah.
And do you know?
And me and you never think of that shit. Like, I never think of that. I've never thought of that in my life. Like,
that's heartbreaking. I
was always just like, oh, they like, how girls are like, I don't know, they're always much more talking to each other. Like men are much more like.
We go in the bathroom, we don't talk to each other.
Like, you don't see like men like sitting like eye to eye, like, hi, how's your day? Like it's like that. But women do that. Like straight women do that with each other.
Intimacy.
They're much more intimate with each other. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, but I mean, I guess I never thought of it. It could be also a safety thing. They don't want to go anywhere alone. Like
how many guys?
If you're alone, something could. That? Yeah, I don't. It's like, I mean, once in a while you'll feel a little vulnerable, like you're walking alone in a, your parking garage or something, and you're like, But in my head, I'm always like playing like I would do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're always thinking of like what I would do if someone attacked me or some shit. Like,
I've had people attack me in parking garages and stuff like that, and in parking out and parking.
yeah, you've
spaces.
dealt with actual real violence.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun, and it makes me, concerned and scared.
Yeah.
For ladies in this world, because
Oh yeah, think about that all the time, dude. Even like when I'm working in the bar and I have coworkers, like it's much different if I had to close the bar by myself or if they did, you know, because like, you know, and then you add alcohol and there's creepy dudes and like, you know, I'll get in trouble, you know, for sticking up for, you know, there's sometimes where people just act a certain way and I'll maybe get overprotective if I do have like a female coworker, any coworker really, of like, hey, you can't treat this person like this, you know, and maybe I'll like get a little overboard about it, you know, where I'm like, but it's because I get protective or whatever. And, you know, if I got a guy that's being a dick and he's sitting there drinking a fucking 15% stout, you know, and he's slamming them and he starts acting weird, like I'm going to tell him, bro, like you need to get out of here.
Yeah,
yeah, you
100%.
can't, like, I don't know. I feel like that goes back to our society needing to learn how to be adults again. You know, like
you're right.
And you know, being an adult doesn't mean maybe you don't get drunk and you fuck up and you start acting like dumb in a bar. But being an adult means if you do that, you should be okay with somebody hitting you and kicking you out of the bar. I wish we could bring that back,
Dude. I've been.
You know what I mean?
If like, I could tell, I don't think I can count because I can't. I try to forget it. I've been punched in the face quite a few times for doing horrible, like stupid shit.
Yeah.
Like I've
And that's okay.
insulted somebody, and I wasn't like trying to, but I wasn't thinking about somebody else. And now when I insult somebody, I really want them to understand my intent.
Yeah.
And it's more well thought out. I want you to understand why I don't like you, and I break
older,
it down.
wiser. Yeah. But when you're young, yeah, we've all done that.
We all
dumb
said
shit,
stupid
but-
shit and got punched in the face by somebody's boyfriend for saying something rude that you didn't know was rude, but it was rude. And then, you know, I apologize, you know, afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I'm not ashamed of getting punched in the face. Somebody took corrective action to correct a deficiency. I thought it was cool to say something when it wasn't, and you could see the hurt afterwards in the girl's eyes while I'm sitting there bleeding out my mouth, and the guy's pissed off yelling. I just look at the girl like, oh, did I really upset her? She's fucking crushed.
Right.
And you could say something.
You know, I'm not saying like violence is like we should go to violence. Like that's not what I mean. But just like, I don't know, the idea of like you can just do anything and there's no repercussions anymore. It's like
it's not good.
It's not good.
We need accountability.
Accountability is good, yeah, and that can be taken too far, you know. But like, just in general, yeah, I think accountability would be good for us as a society.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
I like how you said that you can sometimes feel like you're taking it too far. I don't think fisticuffs or getting in a fist fight isn't the worst thing in the world. There's things way worse.
Well, right, and I never like. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like nowadays, even just like saying something. Like we're so expected to just like coddle people to this point of insanity that like. You know, it's just I can't do it.
I'm not here to create
I don't.
safe places
I'm like,
for people who
if
don't
you want to
deserve
let people walk all over you, that's fine. But I'm not going to do that in my life. It's just not. It's not my thing. I'm not going to do it.
We need brave men and women to stand up for truth.
There's got to be boundaries. You know, there's got to be right and wrong. You know.
Yeah, 100%. We need people to do the right thing. It's never easy to do the right thing. I wish I could go back and say, hey, Eddie, it's gonna be easy to do the right thing. You just get through it.
Not always.
It's hard. You get painted the bad guy. You get painted as a goody-goody. You know, I tried to do the right thing in the military, and I was ostracized. I reported sexual harassment of a bunch of female sailors under my jurisdiction when I was on the USS Theodore Roosevelt after our deployment, and they tried to fucking blackball me and tried to get me pretty much. They threatened to send me to captain's mast. I told them I was going to beat the living life out of him. He was an officer at the time.
It's not always easy to do the right thing though, because
God, so frustrating.
It's really weird. Like when I don't know, I would say that the number one thing I've noticed is that like the majority of society, just because they all believe something doesn't mean it's right.
No.
You know what I mean? So you have to sometimes like, you're going to look like the bad guy or the asshole, but it's like, hey, I just know that this is wrong. And then usually over time will wash it out. And it's like, oh, kind of like you said about like when we find these things that are conspiracies, like, usually at first it's like, oh my God, you can't say that. And then it's like, oh, I guess, it's like you said, 6 months later, it's like, yeah, that's what I was saying, yeah. So I think time helps, but
Do you think that, I have a question I don't always ask questions of you, but I'm going to ask a
Yeah.
question of you. What do you think about the phrase bad news travels faster than good news?
yeah, I think definitely. I think we focus on bad more than good. And I think it can be, it's kind of like when we're talking about the media, why do they always, try to scare us?
Breaking news.
Yeah, and that keeps people's eyeballs on it. So like there's a song by the band Tool. Do you remember the band Tool?
I
Like
love Tool.
it's that song called Vicarious, and it's like we like to watch things die from a good safe distance.
And when it happens to us, it's devastating.
Yeah, but like it's like the NASCAR crash. Like we love watching the crashes. Like we don't want anybody to die, but there's a little part of you when you're watching NASCAR, like you want to see a big wreck.
Well, I think
You wouldn't say it like consciously, but when it happens, you're like, what the fuck, like,
100%. Well, what I've noticed is this: human beings, we're addicted to trauma. We love watching it happen to somebody else.
Yeah.
We're okay with and Cat Williams just said this. We're okay with what's going on with Kanye West. We understand he has a mental health crisis. We've told him he's a genius.
Right.
We've told him this and that and the third, and we act surprised
he's like, I
when
am
we
a god.
we act
like, of
surprised when he
course.
loses it, and now
Yeah.
we're surprised when he loses it. He has a mental health disorder.
Yes,
And,
I agree.
And they pilled him up, and as we've seen, pills might not be the best solution for certain things.
I don't think they are for him. I think you're right. That's a weird case because I think the guy is so talented, and I don't think sometimes people realize what comes with great talent is also it's part of his mental illness.
Yes.
The reason he's so fucking good is part of his mental illness, but what comes with that is if things go a certain way, you lead to his breakdown.
Yes.
You know what I
And-
mean?
And then we're mad about what the shit he says.
Yeah.
He's saying off the wall shit because he's feeling off the wall. We can't look at somebody who's going through.
Well, and there's little elements of real things in what he's saying that are true.
Yeah.
He does see these like things like how the media skews things and stuff like that. So a lot of the things he's saying, like it's real in a certain way. He's just like he has a mental health issue. So it's kind of like that saying about like sometimes people will view somebody who has a quality that they think is great. Maybe they want that quality, but they don't actually realize what all comes with that. Like say you like see this like certain bodybuilder that's like the greatest, like maybe a Chris Bumstead, which he seems pretty just somebody that's an extreme and you're like, "Man, I want to be like that." And it's like, "But do you really? Do you want all the mental health shit that comes with that? Do you want the like obsession that comes with that? Do you like a guy like Elon Musk that's so smart, you don't think some of that's going to come with also like some bad qualities, like
Every single time we get a gift in life or we have this natural talent and we work on it and develop it as a skill, there is always a dark side with that. There's darkness and light within us and within all that creates us. And I don't want to get on my spiritual shit, which
I'm
I
with
love.
you, dude.
To make it more personal, me when I tore my shoulder, I went into I would say the second most difficult part of my life. The first
because you couldn't move like you normally
could.
could.
Well, the first being losing my dad when I was deployed. That was like a huge mental ordeal for me. And then the second huge ordeal was tearing my shoulder and not being able to work and feel like I'm providing, to not be able to. I lost 30 pounds of muscle. Like people talk about putting on 1 pound of muscle being a major success, which it is. And then I lost 30 of those things. I'm talking about 5 years of work.
Yeah.
Like work, all natty, and then I started using gear, and then I tore my shoulder like pretty shortly after in a horrible work incident. And
so it wasn't even the lifting.
No,
it was through work, dude. I'd be pissed.
It was devastating.
Yeah.
Like all the progress I was making, I was for sure in for a great journey with bodybuilding and stuff like that, and just fitness in general. I was happy with how I looked in the mirror.
Right.
It's very rare to say that. I was completely confident, and with my progress, I was not missing.
It is rare to say that, isn't it?
Like,
yeah.
I'm not missing a meal. Everything was on progress, and I tore my shoulder, and now what am I now? I lost everything.
Yeah, and how did you like what did you have to do in your brain to like make it okay?
I had to stop drinking because I drank. I said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna drink for 7 days and cry and be In my mind, I said,
let it come through.
A little
like,
whiny bitch,
yeah,
and then I'm not going to use alcohol as a crutch for this situation. My wife was going through a she just recovered from surgery. She was actively recovering from surgery when I tore my shit.
Okay.
I'm laid there. I can't move my left arm. I'm crying all the time. I'm grinding my teeth down in my sleep due to the pain, and they didn't give me any pain pills. They gave me a muscle relaxer, which doesn't really help my pain.
Right.
And I'm just dying inside every night when I sleep. I'm
that's
losing
good.
everything. So like, what do
and
I
you
do?
can't work, so you probably feel like
Well,
you
what
said.
do you do? I was walking around the house. I'm like, I can't work on my house, and I can't work. My house went to shit. I couldn't provide. I was stressed out.
Which is probably a huge part of like what makes you feel like you too.
Yes.
You know, like yeah.
If I'm not chasing the bag, something's off, and that comes with.
I think that's such a real thing, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, it comes.
We have to have that in us.
Have you ever like experiencing any level of poverty, or where money's scarce? It will change you in a horrible way where you think that your value is associated with what you're providing in.
Yeah.
And I can say that, and then I'll like right after this, I'm going back to work.
Right.
And it's not like an addiction, but I need to cover my bases.
Oh, dude, it's an addiction. I have to. Like, I can't. The idea, like, I think it's because I've been in some spots where I did not know how I was going to financially make it. Like,
That's
to
scary.
a scary point. Like, I don't think people even realize how bad it's been for me a few times. Because, like, you know, you don't let it stop you.
I was talking to a
You
homeless
just
guy last week
fucking
about
keep
this.
going, dude. You keep going.
I asked this homeless guy, like, so how did you end up here, man? And what's going on? Like, is there a place that's provided
We're
for you?
all this close at any point.
You are one. He said you're a one paycheck away.
Yep.
Everybody, no matter how much money you have, you're one paycheck away from your whole financial world come crashing down.
Right.
Unfortunately, mine was a VA check.
Oh, no shit. That's
Lost
it.
everything, dude.
That's it.
Lost everything.
Yeah.
And he was a homeless vet, and it crushed me. And I got hooked up with some of the great people in the PNW Vets Association, and they worked on and helped him out. And hopefully he's doing much better now. I haven't really checked back up with him, but it's tough to think like that.
Uh-huh.
What really creates our values? And there's a lot of different values out there. One of the values I hold very dear to me is my moral values.
Yep.
I think that I don't value
Well, you can
myself.
still have those when you're poor.
Well, yeah.
That's why it's cool. It's one thing that can never be taken away from you.
Never.
Yeah.
And I won't let my moral values ever be superseded by how somebody else feels, by what makes them comfortable, by somebody else's lies especially. And I had a major falling out with someone who I valued as a friend for a long time, and it's like still really recent, and it's not like eating me up in a way that where I'm happy with the situation. I'm full of rage.
Right.
There's definitely a lot of unsolved things, and when we see each other, it's going to be solved in one way or another. But like I have significant issues with an individual, and like it just it drives me crazy, man. He violated every single one of my moral statutes. Well, like from using my house to try to cheat on his wife and
oh shit!
Like,
yeah. That's not cool.
You're invited into my home, and you use. Everyone knows, like, if you cheat on your person, I don't fuck with you. You got to go.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have that example around my kids. I'm not gonna have an example. Like, I hang out with my wife. I will not cheat on my wife.
Well, so he probably was trying to. Think of it like.
And you're sliding.
And you're trying to have me be cool with it.
And
it's like,
cool
no,
with
I'm
it?
not gonna be cool with it.
Like, I didn't know about this. It was very, very secretive, and it was disgusting. And the truth came.
Well,
to
you know,
light.
that's how you know if you have a good friend or not. Like, a good friend isn't the one that sees you almost cheat on your wife and he's like, yeah, go for it. That's not a good
Dude,
friend.
you better fucking punch
The
me
good
in my
friend is
mouth.
the one that comes over and is like, bro, I don't know what the fuck you're doing right now. I see what's happening with this girl. We're leaving. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good friend. That's a
Yes.
good friend. Yeah.
Yes, and your good friends hold each other accountable.
Yes.
It's disgusting that this individual, like, it's really hard not to smash everything. I'm full of rage all the time thinking about it. If I'm having a birthday party for myself or for my wife, and you use it as a feeding ground to sow seeds of dissent, disrespect, and to be disloyal to your own partner, who's our friend, in my fucking house.
Yeah, that's bad.
With my other friends, and you try to slide in their inboxes and shit, and you try to, and sneak up and hit up them. Like, what type of fucking man are you? Are you expect me to respect you?
And then they think you're going to be, like, cool with it.
And you think I'm going to be
like,
you gonna be cool with it when all me and my wife's friends that are girls are hitting us up saying, hey, this guy's sliding in my DMs trying I'm not going to say what he said, but he said some horrible things about his own wife, and then tried to use it as a foundation to lie and slide in there and to get in their fucking pants. You think that's going to be respectable? You think that's what makes a man?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you think what happens when your kids grow up and find out about this shit? Like,
yeah, that's not good.
And you wonder why, like, we're not cool. Like, have you lost your mind?
And he wants to almost think of it like,
He's like, oh, no,
like
no.
bro code, like
And-
you
and
should
it-
be cool, like protecting me, or
And
like
hitting me up, and then this guy had the audacity to hit up me and my wife who's pregnant, right? And like, I thought we were friends, you know, we were friends you've been my longest friend, and you dropped me like hot garbage. What the fuck do you expect?
yeah, it's
Look at you.
behaviors you
Look at
can't
you.
have around your life.
You're
like,
either a narcissist,
yeah,
or you're an insane narcissist.
yeah.
Like, who you are as a human being. Your kids are gonna grow up and find out the truth.
Well, it's gonna reflect
I'm not gonna tell
on
them, but
you.
they're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Your kids are gonna see what happened.
Yes.
Why isn't it working out?
And it doesn't even mean you could say, hey man, like, yeah, we were really great friends, but like,
I don't fuck
my
with that.
life, I can't have that in it.
I can never fuck with
So,
somebody who, because if he,
yeah.
because the question is this, and this is what locks in my morals about the not cheating ever thing.
Yeah.
My parents, my mom and my stepdad separated because there was infidelity issues and there was a bunch of shit, right?
Right.
They couldn't make it work, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many friends lose families over infidelity. I've had
It ain't good.
I've had friends be disloyal to me and fuck me over, and I've had to fucking flee for my life from some situations where I've been fucked over by guys.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I allow any sign of disloyalty from between you and somebody who you call your wife?
So that hits you on an
raising your
even deeper
children?
level because of your own experiences.
Hits me on every level.
Yeah.
And if you can't stay loyal to the person who you're married to,
But I mean, I agree with you. I don't think there's like some kind of like, I know certain dudes see it as like this like bro code, like, you know, like, oh, you know, come on, man, you should be helping me out.
yeah, like
it's
bros
like,
before hoes things. Your hoe
it's
is
like,
in a
dude,
wife.
that's not healthy.
It's not.
It's not how this works. Like, we're adults now. Like you
want
said,
you to be
it's like
better.
accountable. Yes.
I want you to be better, and more so, like most things, I don't really take personally, but this I took very personally, and I try to keep my friendships, and my levels, my emotions very separate, because you don't
Right.
make good decisions when you're emotional. But this is something that
No, we do not.
this is something
we
that
do not.
awoke invoked emotions from me. It's like where I'm sweating right now just thinking about the idea.
That's like the one thing, trying to control emotions is one of the probably greatest superpowers I've learned, because it's like, you know, you get like heated, you start losing, like you're not going to make good decisions. You're not going to have a good showing
No.
when you're emotional.
No.
That's why it is, like I said, when people do have those conversations where they're very opposed with each other and they can stay calm and collected, I got to really respect people that can do that.
It's hard. It's
You
hard,
know?
man. I've had many a time where I just wanted to snap somebody's neck, but I just walked away.
Yep.
And I just bit my tongue. I just kept it PG, hung up the phone, whatever, right? But I took it very personal. I took it personal when you use my house for that
Yeah.
shit. I take it personal when you disrespect your wife, and then
Yeah, I'd
who's
say
our-
you
who's our
just
mutual
got to
friend.
get that. You just got to get that out of your life. You can't.
Man, and I took it personal when you badmouth me. And if like, at the end of the day, we're grown ass men. If you got a fucking problem with me, you can call my phone. We can meet up. We can squab, or we
Yeah.
can squash it, or you can just leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
If you keep harassing me and you harass my pregnant wife who said leave me the fuck alone, you know, I'm not saying I'm gonna hunt this motherfucker down, because I would have been done that shit. It's
Yeah.
really easy to find people in this day and age. But like, I'm not gonna waste my time. Even I would never want to have this type of person around my fucking family.
Yeah, that's no good, man.
Like, imagine you're a kid and you grow up and you find out that your dad is his friends with somebody who cheats on their wife. Like, it's not cool to be a creepy uncle. It's not cool to cheat on your partner. It's not cool to sweep these things under the rug. You can't.
No, you're
have it.
right, dude.
You
It's
can't
people
have
do it too much too. It's like,
You can't censor the truth.
I'm trying to think of like situations like that. Like growing up, we had such good like role models of other families in my life. Like I was talking about that with my mom, like how we were so lucky in the small community I grew up in, because it was like, you know, I had my parents, but it's like I couldn't act out anywhere in the town, because like it wasn't like I just had my parents. I had like their friends, who's this other couple and this other couple, and like if I'm being a dumbass like at a gas station and my dad's not there, but this guy's basically my dad too. He would come over and smack me just the same way my dad. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like a community that's like raising. You know, it's like. So I think we had mostly good role models, but I mean, once in a while, yeah, there'd be like so and so cheated on so and so, or you know, like there was always that little like every once in a while.
Loyalty is important.
Yeah, and I think cheating is just like it's discipline. I don't know about you, but I don't think cheating. You know, some people can do it; they work it out somehow. I don't. I think it's a no. I think especially like if a woman cheats on you, I think that's it because she'll never respect you again.
If you cheat,
if you take her back,
well,
you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone who cheats is a respectable human being, and they're never going to respect you if they
right.
If I'm like, think about how easy it is for human beings to bust a nut, right?
Yeah.
Why would you think that if you take that and you do it with somebody else, and then you head back to your partner, that it's okay? Or why would you? And if you take them back, you really got to reassign. If someone cheats on you even one time, you have to rethink and redesign what your idea of self-respect is. Like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror? Do you think that you are worth more? You should.
It's a value thing. I think it's something where you don't value yourself enough if you're willing to put up with that kind of behavior.
You have to value yourself. If it's not for you, think about it for the people that care about you. Like, do you have any family that you love that would care about you if you got hurt by someone cheating on you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. That'd be terrible. You know, like. I don't know. I think it's just like everything. It's your own value, how much you care about yourself, what you're willing to let other people do to you.
Yes.
And when you care about yourself, it's a lot less and less what you're willing to put up with.
100%.
So it's even like you with your friend. Like you care, you know, like you're just like, I'm not putting up with that, dude. I'm sorry. Like I'm not going to have that. I don't want to have that around me. I don't want that around my family. So
if you love supporting the podcast and or the subscription program, and if you really want to do, this guy a service, make sure you listen to what he's sponsored with. Take advantage of discounts. You know, if you look at manscaped.com, 20% off with the code NickyFit.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Why not do yourself a service and clean up downstairs?
Do your balls a service,
dude. You do not want to be looking unkept for your
partner.
partner.
You're talking about like, hey guys, quit fucking watching porn. Actually go out and find a real woman. So to start with that, order a Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 and shave them balls up. So
I love the lawnmower,
dude. She's gonna like. You know, pull it out and it's gonna be all hairy and gross. She's gonna be like, "What the fuck?
Like, what the fuck is this?"
Clean that shit up, dude.
If they clean up, you should clean up.
You gotta.
You know what? It's the law.
Well, yeah, and you want them to clean up, so you better fucking clean up too,
yes,
bro.
Be presentable, men. Be presentable, men out there.
We love it, dude. I get it. Yeah.
It's just to me, it's tough. It's a tough situation because, because I've seen people get cheated on, and it destroys me to see that. To see that everything you thought was your reality is not, and a lot of it comes into like just loyalty, man. Loyalty to yourself is discipline, and we've talked about this.
Discipline, and that's what we've talked about many times on here is discipline.
Yes, it's the way of life.
I still think it's the greatest gift you can have is like discipline, and I think it comes and goes, and I think my life is the best when I'm practicing it the most, honestly. Everything gets better when you're practicing discipline. It's like, it was weird. Like, I feel like that might be the secret that people are looking for, but it's the last thing they want to do. Like, why are you depressed? Why are you always feeling like this? Why it's like, it's because you're not doing the stuff you need to do, and your body's like basically telling you like you could do better than this.
Gotta handle your shit.
And so you feel like shit about yourself, but they don't want to. So instead, you'll go to alcohol or a drug or food or sex or whatever to fill that hole, and that's what you're actually lacking is like some kind of purpose, some kind of discipline. But instead of like, because you're too lazy to do the work, because you think the work is what you want to avoid, but that's actually where you're gonna find the thing that like basically cures you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I'm really tired all the time. I have no energy. So the thing that's gonna give you more energy is actually using a bunch of energy.
Yes.
You're like, well, I'm too tired, so I can't do it today. I'll rest more, and then I'll have energy. But no, you're gonna feel even shittier tomorrow.
Yes.
What you need is to like go get your shit running properly. You need to go like do the thing you need to do, and then that will actually give you more energy. That's why you feel like shit. You haven't been doing enough.
You can't put no cheap gas in a Ferrari and expect it to run the same. Our body can become a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
But instead, we have a society where we have so many issues. We're overloading ourselves with. We're putting literal poison in our body. Is alcohol good? Does it taste great? You know, when you're having it in small quantities, and you're not abusing it. You're not drinking and driving, or drinking and having arguments, or drinking and getting angry, and drinking and when you're sad is something I'm a big proponent of. Do not drink when you're upset. Don't do it. It's never good. Never anything positive. If you got shit going on in your life, go handle your shit, and then you can relax and drink. But don't spend your whole life celebrating when you have nothing to celebrate. Because, I'm not saying that there's nothing positive about life.
No, but I know what you mean. Like you got to get. Well, and that's the thing I've run into is like people think I go so hard on alcohol because I'm always posting things about it or like. But the thing is, like, I'm only saying real things about it. It's like weird because it's like, yes, I don't like to drink very much, and I will post and say these things about alcohol that are true, and people somehow like they get really butthurt about it.
Like, I'm not telling you you're a shitty person. I'm just talking about the facts of life.
No, it's just the fact. So it's like, and I'm not even saying people shouldn't drink, and I'm not even like I would drink, sometimes too, and almost like I would get myself in a spot where like, for whatever reason, because I'm like just like that, like I would like be going hard against alcohol, and then someday be on a podcast and just like get wasted just to show people like, hey, see this bitch? I can still do whatever the fuck I want. You know what I mean? It's not the idea. It's just saying like, let's call reality what reality is. Alcohol is poison.
It is.
I didn't say that you can't use it. I mean, we've been using it for thousands of years. I didn't say like you're a bad person because you use it. I'm just saying like, here's a fact about it. Maybe the reason you're upset and unhappy all the time might be this cycle of, like it gives me a second of alleviation from my anxiety, but then it makes it worse. And then I want it again. And it's a cycle. I'm just saying like, here's some reality. It's kind of like people like that like to use weed to fall asleep. So like they'll take weed. Oh, it helps me sleep. And it's like, you'll tell them a fact about weed. Like, well, actually you don't get REM sleep if you're high. You don't get REM sleep from weed. So you actually are not getting proper sleep when you're on weed. But they don't want to hear that because it's like their tool to go to sleep. So in their mind, they've created this reality where like, weed's good for me. It helps me sleep. And I'm not saying weed isn't good for you, but I'm saying like, here's a fact about it. You don't actually get good sleep. That's why people, when they quit weed, have a bunch of hallucinogenic dreams because their body's trying to catch up on REM sleep. So it gives them all. So this is just a fact. But like, it's when people hold things too dear to them, like ideas, that you offend them just by saying the truth because they have their own idea in their head. It's like
people get way too easy.
So it's like I am not trying to say like alcohol is horrible. I don't know. This is a thing I've had going on because I work in a bar, but I don't drink, and like
you have these conversations.
And I say real things about alcohol that offends people, but it's because they probably have an alcohol problem. That's why it hits them so hard. Like
if you can't go to a social event and I've told myself this just over the past couple weeks. If I can't go out somewhere and not have a drink because everybody else is drinking, I have an alcohol problem.
Right.
If I'm upset and I say the words I need a drink, I have an alcohol problem. It's at the end of the day and I'm like thinking one thing on my mind after the end of the day is alcohol. I have an alcohol problem.
Oh, if that's all you're thinking about, yeah.
These are problems. If I can't understand that if I start drinking and I can't make it and I need to leave soon and I'm still drinking, I have a fucking alcohol problem.
Right.
And more importantly, I have a potential dying or murdering somebody on the way home problem. I have
horrible.
So many friends that have died just murdered by somebody who's drunk driving.
Yeah, the amount of people that drive home drunk scares me.
Dude.
Scares me.
I want to it makes me want to snap. Like last night, I was out and I was thinking about having another drink, and I was like, no, I'm not going to have another drink because if I drew, that might potentially, there might be a minuscule chance of me jeopardizing the safety of myself.
Right, and that's kind of what gets me. So like even when I have like that incident I was telling you where that guy was being a dick to my coworker and he was drinking too much, it's like also, motherfucker, you're drinking these high alcohol percentage beers. I know you're going to get in a vehicle after this and leave. So, of course, I don't respect you, and I'm not happy.
Peasant.
That's what I'm saying. But so my problem with alcohol is, like, if I say it's poison, people get mad. And it's like, I can't understand. It's like, I could say the same thing. So, like, check this out. It doesn't mean I don't think you should ever use it. I'm just saying calling alcohol what it is. It's poison. I'll say this, like, I really love crumble cookies once in a while. Those are
don't say
poison.
those words.
That's poison for you.
Crumble, not the
You know what I'm
crumble.
saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that I like to use once in a while that is not good for me. I'm not saying don't ever do it. I'm just saying, like, if I can't say a reality, like, hey, crumble cookies are full of sugar, they're not healthy for you, they're going to be bad for your body. That's also a reality. But also, like, hey, I'm going to have them sometimes because they're good, you know? So, like, same with alcohol. It's like, I don't know. I just don't like this getting offended by reality shit.
No, it ain't good. It ain't good for sure. And there is a lot that can be said about catering to people's feelings, but there's a lot more that can be said about, hey, are you telling me this information because you want me to know so I can make well-informed decisions and care about myself? Because if you tell me, hey, Eddie, I got you this super lovely dry fly distilling specialty release, aged 9 years barrel 1158, beautiful 98.6 proof.
Right, dude, you
Spokane.
take that home so that can be
I'm
like
gonna-
a gift for you. Congratulations
Thank you so much, man.
on the pregnancy.
I appreciate this, man. I'm going to enjoy this. But, like, I'm going to have – what's going to happen is after I do jiu-jitsu one night, and I'm not on work, I'm going to pour me a glass of this, and I'm going to have one and enjoy the flavor.
Like, that's delicious, dude. That's what I'm saying. I could say alcohol's poison, but, like, I'm looking at that right now. That looks delicious.
But if I just drink this – and then I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, if you were like, if you just broke up with your girlfriend or something, say like this is a different life, and you're like all sad and depressed, and you're at home like swilling that down at home, like jerking off, oh, I'm alone, you know, like, nah. Then I think you probably should put the alcohol down at that point. Go to the gym, you know, like eat healthy, try to find, you know, like. Get your shit together. So,
definitely, man.
But if you're like in a good place, like you said, you just did jujitsu, you're healthy, you're happy. I want to have a little celebratory drink. That's a different mentality. That's
but
a different.
Just drinking a drink.
But drinking because you're sad or because you want to relieve anxiety. That's where I feel like it's like not good.
You said something crazy. Drinking to relieve anxiety.
Yeah.
How many times people show up to gatherings and the first thing they do is
I got to get alcohol.
I got to get a drink in me because I don't know how to.
Because I'm shy around
other people. But
that's why they say it's a social lubricant, you know, because so there is like some good things about it. Like, I mean, there's probably couples that met each other that never would have got together had they not had a few drinks.
Hey, it's embedded within our culture. It really is.
It is. It's part of it. Yeah. So I'm not gonna not tell the truth about it. That's my point.
100%. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. And you shouldn't feel any type of way when people are going to react poorly to information. When the truth doesn't need to get angry. That's the thing that they don't say.
Well, I had a friend of mine. He's a really good dude. And he was like, maybe it's because it kind of comes off as condescending. And I'm like, maybe it needs to.
Condescending is not just not in how you speak.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might disagree with this, and it's okay. I'm willing to have a conversation. Maybe I'm wrong, but condescending is completely relative to how people receive it. Yeah. And if I'm putting out if I'm sending you a text message and I'm saying, "Hey man, is everything all right?" There's a lot of ways you could take that. I could just be saying, "Hey man, is everything all right?" Or, "Hey man, is everything all right?" Or it depends on how you receive it, right?
Right.
Being me,
dude. There's a Key and Peele You ever see that Key and Peele thing where they do that?
No, I don't watch that.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Like the one is texting, being totally nice. The other one's taking it a whole way. And he's like, "Oh, you want to go? Yeah, let's go." And the one guy thinks like, "Oh, we're gonna go out to have fun." The other guy thinks he's getting in a fight.
Yeah.
So he shows up ready to fight, and the guy's like, "You ready to go out, buddy?" And he's like, "Oh." Like he just like, "Oh shit, I was totally wrong. I took all that completely wrong."
Well, that comedy really does shed light on how
it does. It's good.
Our perception is not always reality. Like people say, perception is reality. If someone insulted me when I was in the Navy one day, I was standing talking to another sailor about and asked them questions about how I like to do my ESWAS pin. It's a enlisted surface warfare specialist pin where you learn about other jobs and you pretty much become a standard level expert about different jobs on the ship, and it's a requirement in the United States Navy. To
get it.
So asking a sailor something, and somebody walked by me and said, "Hey, Lowery, I don't think your wife would like that. Perception is reality or whatever." I fucking lost my mind, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not just insulting me and my wife's relationship, you're also insulting. My standards, how I respect myself. I would never ever try to cross a boundary of self-respect and hit on somebody else when I'm in a relationship, because that just means I'm a loser.
Right.
And also perception is not reality. It's not just disrespectful that was said. Perception is not always reality. It's not false truth.
I think we do need to get perception is reality is a great term, right? You know, especially like me coming from pro wrestling world, like you can create a reality by how people perceive. Like there could be a guy that's smaller, but he just has this charisma, and people believe that he's like better, and he can. Like Shawn Michaels was a guy that was smaller than a lot of people, but
Oh, yeah.
he could stand toe to toe with the Undertaker, and it was like believable that they would fight, and they would make it believable. So it's like, but I do worry a little bit right now in our society that we've gotten a little too creative with the term reality, like pretending there's no such thing as it in anything. You know, it's like we create, it's like, yeah, I mean, in a sense, we create everything. We've created society, we've created it. But like this idea, there's still certain like realities that are real.
Yes.
Like that's what I say. Like, you know, if people say like, "Oh, alcohol is not bad," it's like, well, you can say it's not bad, but when I put it into my body, there's going to be certain chemical processes that take place. Whether you believe that it's bad for you or not, that's going to happen when you drink it.
Oh, yes.
So there's still a reality. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't know. Or like you were saying a little bit about the body positivity. Hey, that's great. You know, love yourself, love your body, but there's certain realities that are going to happen if you don't take care of it.
I can
like
tell myself,
type 2 diabetes.
Well,
and
yes.
These are real
Man.
things.
But like just like you said right there, man, cake, man, my perception when I eat cake is like, oh God, it tastes so good. The reality is, if I eat too much cake,
You're gonna feel
all
like
my
shit.
goals are going to go to shit. And if I eat too much sugar, my body's going to take a crap.
If there was a way to just eat whatever we want with no consequence, that's what I always say. Like people seem to have like stopped realizing the idea of consequences.
Yes.
So hey, it's great. Like, oh my God, just love yourself, treat yourself. Because people do that with me when I'm hardcore about my diet and stuff, and it's like
that's not the type of thing
you're actually not trying to help me.
You're trying to they're trying to dissuade you from
be like us, one of us, one of us. That's what it is. It's like I'm engaged in very unhealthy behaviors, and I want to feel more comfortable, so I want you to also engage in them so that I don't feel bad about myself.
Well, making people uncomfortable is the best thing you can do in this day and age.
Dude, I'm with you. I love it.
The biggest part of the word culture is cult.
Yeah.
If you're outside of that normal, like someone told me that I was saying something that goes against black culture, and I said, well, you know, that's really dangerous thing to say because the root of culture is cult. And
but also maybe you're the leader.
Maybe I want to forge my own fucking path.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. You're the leader that's going to change it.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
don't just put me in a category just because I'm half black and half white, or saying, oh, well, you're being too black, or you're being too white, or you know, don't say anything like that because you're categorizing me. You're also saying some racist bullshit, and it's fucked up. And there's this new statement that's been put out lately that about who can be racist, and it's anti-racist or opposite reverse racism.
I saw that shit. I was like,
up.
that
it's
is
just
fucked
bad. It's
up.
whatever you're saying. It can be hurtful to somebody else, and you're talking about race.
Was that like IBM or whatever? Like
I don't know.
The dude got caught like basically. Oh my God, dude! There's some crazy shit out there.
But people are just trying to reinvent the wheel. If you're being an asshole, you're being an asshole.
Yeah, and racism is racism.
Saying it in a nice way, like, oh, you know, Nick, you're a really great guy, but unfortunately, you know, you're white, so you're racist. And you're oppressing me because I'm black. That's fucking nonsense. Are we?
Well, I'm pretty sure that IBM, like, I don't know, like some high up got caught like saying basically like, well, and now we consider Asians the same as whites because they've done too well. You know what I mean? Like,
because
and so like now they don't. So it's like, sorry, bro, you're just one of us white people now. Like,
man, I had a friend in middle school, and his parents sent him over here to live. They found somebody to live over here, and they paid them to live. They were very poor.
Yeah.
And they all worked because they wanted to create a life for this kid.
Right.
And they found a family who was willing to take just for a little bit of money.
Yep.
They would house them and feed them like they're one of the family, and they help raise their kid over here, and the whole process without his own parents here, and like they dealt with big legal issues and stuff like this. The kid's over here all alone, learning what it's like to grow up in America.
Yep.
And then he moved his family over here, and it was such an like. This is years later. I found out he moved his family over here, and it's so beautiful that we have a country where, like, people can say how fucked up America is. People can say it's a horrible place to live in. Why do people keep coming here? Because we like freedom. Because the cartel doesn't run the show here. Because dictators don't run the show here. Because we can have these conversations right here without our families getting executed.
Right.
That's why.
And that's why I'm so worried about free speech, dude. I don't want that to change.
It can't change. The government is going to say whatever they want. At the end of the day, we're in the age of technology.
Yeah.
If I want to know, there's a popular topic right now. If I want to know who was hopping on Epstein's flights. I can
can
Google
look,
it.
dude. Yeah.
I can Google it if I want to know information about whatever war happened. If I have a history test coming up, I can Google I can Google most school questions on my phone.
That's what's going on right now with. So that's one positive thing about cell phones and social media is it's making corruption a lot harder to pull off.
Hey,
because the minute like they say something that people realize is not real, you find out the truth very fast now.
Like the current sitting U.S. president has so many videos of him saying racist shit about
Oh my God,
black
it's crazy.
people. It
It's
enrages
crazy.
me. I've never been a fan of him, and I'm not going to sit here and disrespect the United States president, and just be a horrible.
It is funny when he's like tweeting and it's like you didn't write
Like
that.
you can't even.
It's like he didn't write that.
Dude, give this man some ice cream and let him go to
Oh
bed.
my
dude.
God.
Like, he can't even walk the right direction.
I'm pretty
stage.
sure
Let him
the
be.
press secretary actually accidentally tweeted a president tweet under her Twitter. Like she forgot to like switch over before tweeting it. So like we know she's probably making most of that.
You know what? People should take it more easy on her because she has the hardest job.
That's gotta be a tough job, dude. Trying to make him look good.
Yes,
he meant to do that.
He meant to fall off the bike.
yeah.
I'm sure.
He meant to walk off to the side of the stage and not seem like there was a fake person there. Like,
hey,
he knew that. Yeah, he was trying to do it.
But even in this, even me disliking him, I can sympathize with his position.
Yeah.
You know, being that old, my keeping my shit together is a real statement. Now I'm trying to keep my shit inside
It's tough,
of me.
dude. It'd be tough. He's It's just sad that this is what we have to offer.
This is what we have?
This is what we have to offer.
You know what's the rule? You got to be like 35 or some shit like that to run, or I'm not sure what the rules.
Well, that's why I like Vivek because he's young. He's like 38.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into this guy because he's speaking about me, and I've heard some of the things he says.
Yeah.
We deserve as Americans to make well-informed voting decisions, and we should listen to everything somebody says, not just what the news says. We shouldn't watch the news at all.
Oh, well, if you listen to the news, they would say he's a horrible person.
Oh,
he's
bet,
a racist. Yeah. He's like, what? You know, he's like an Indian dude. It's like, I don't know.
Very racist.
He's a white supremacist. And,
oh, I bet. Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy, dude.
You know what's crazy? In 2020, there was an issue that happened in Seattle. And one of my buddies that I went to the gym with, LA Fitness in Linwood, he was trying to get out of there. He was working a job down in Seattle. He's trying to get out of there was protests, and some of them were turning into riots.
Okay. What time? 2020? Oh, back when all those terrible riots.
Back when they were popping, baby, summer of love, homie. So
that was the summer of love, right?
Yeah. So he was trying to escape. They were on a different street, and he takes a right on his other street, and tries to floor it down the street. And people at the riot/protest that turned into a riot thought that he was trying to run into all them. So as he pulled up, and he starts slowing down. And there's people chasing him from the other street.
And he's really just trying to get away.
And there's people running at him from both sides now. He's completely entrapped by, and there's over about 50 of these individuals.
Okay.
Not that all of them were doing something bad. And one guy walks up and starts reaching and punching through the window. And then the guy punching through the window, unfortunately, this was a situation where my buddy, I talked to him afterwards, he felt that this is the most scared he's ever been for his life. You have
dude, you gotta just riot, punch in the window.
So he puts one in this guy's arm. He uses his he perceived it as it deeming deadly force. I'm not here to comment legally on what is appropriate, what's not.
Right.
But he put one in the guy's arm and then exited his vehicle and told him all to stay back, and then ran to the line of police officers and surrendered, where he was taken into custody. Said, "Hey, I just shot somebody over there," blah blah blah. This, that, and the third. The next day, not even the next day, in a couple hours, it was all over the news, and they called him a white supremacist. And this guy is Korean.
Dude, that's insane. Literally insane. You're saying he was.
They said known white supremacist.
But so he was just trying to get away.
They didn't put his picture up. They said known white supremacist.
That's why nobody trusts the news anymore. They take something and they post.
I bet I'm a known white supremacist too.
Will post what they want out of it. They want a narrative already, so they're saying this. None of it is even close to what you just described.
Not on the news, but the blues, man.
God, that's so fucked up, dude. I know it drives me nuts when I see like certain like clickbait stuff. Then you look at the article and you're like, nothing that you said in your clickbait title is even close to what happened.
We can handle
this
the
is a
truth.
non-article. Even stuff as dumb as like pro wrestling shit. I'll like click on something. Oh my god, so and so did. And it's like you click on it, it's like that isn't
Never
even what happened. You just made it. This is so stupid.
That's shameful, man.
It's
we can handle the
so
truth.
fucked up, dude. Yeah, they need to. They need to. I don't know what needs to happen, but it's. I mean, I know what's going to happen is nobody trusts anything anymore. They don't
There's
trust
this place
any
called
institution.
Safeguard. There's this site called Safeguard, and they help grade news organizations. So they certify news organizations as and they pretty much fact check them and say that, hey, this is a trustworthy site, and they have a rating. So like you have 99.
But how long until that gets corrupted?
Oh.
You know, that's what I'm saying. It's
That's
always
a scary
like,
thing, right?
yeah, like I mean, because it's like I mean, I never trust fact checkers either, because it's like
no.
most of the fact checkers are horrible, dude.
Well,
Like,
yes. Well, I've been fact checked for the things I've said when I was talking about my feelings about a situation that horribly affected me. I had a friend that committed suicide, and my post got fact checked, talked about how to deal with suicide and stuff like that. And I'm like, what?
like I'm not allowed to just say what I think.
I don't need to be an expert to feel like I want to make a change in veteran suicide. So you know, that's another thing, dude. Like
oh, what you said is missing context or something.
missing context.
You know what the best fact checker is what Elon did on Twitter, because it's community notes, so like people can just write on it.
Yes.
So it's like
Open dialogue.
So like the minute like somebody like whatever the Biden administration posts something, it's like, no, this isn't actually true, and then they like took it down. You know, like it's so funny. So they're like fact checking in real time, but it's better fact checking because it's just regular people that can use the internet.
Well,
you know, like
it would be a scary world if one individual said something and it was the rule of law and you couldn't question it. Otherwise, you're on the wrong side of history or deemed racist.
That scares the shit out of me.
That is called. That's like very similar to a dictatorship, and that we might be headed in the fascism or the socialism, communism direction. And regardless of what individuals say, we have something that can really work here. This is the greatest experiment, and I'm not like a super nationalist or whatever, but we have the best experiment of what this freedom idea really can be here.
It is the best, I think. Yeah.
If we don't have the cartel running
Dude,
the government.
I heard this girl saying, so like those Epstein things came out, and there was this girl, and she was like, well, none of the victims that they interviewed, they all said that Bill Clinton never did anything bad. He was just like a nice uncle. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You could tell she was like leaned that way, so she like wanted that to be the reality.
It's really.
And I'm like,
great.
no. I was like, actually, I think what one of them said was like that Jeffrey Epstein said he likes them young. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure like you're just kind of coming up with a conclusion that you want to be true.
If you spent so much time around somebody like him, based off of what I've seen and observed so far.
Oh, I think he's just a player.
You either knew about it and didn't do shit.
Yeah.
You knew about it and didn't say shit, or you were doing the shit with them.
Right.
And at some point, we have to draw a line.
Right.
What are you? And I'm not saying we have to deal in absolution because I don't agree with that. That's only a Sith deals in absolutes.
Right.
Shout out to Star Wars 3, but you cannot sit there and say, okay, well, it's either this way or that way. It's only this belief or that belief. So I'm not going to put that out there. But at some point, you have to draw a line. Are you comfortable? And you have to ask the question: are you comfortable with pedophilia and child sex trafficking, or are you not? Are you comfortable with human trafficking, or are you not? Are you comfortable with sex slavery, or are you not?
Right. So that Epstein, so many people had to know he was doing that.
Yeah.
So, like, I do believe there's probably a bunch of people that were on his plane that had no idea.
And anybody
because you're in these elite circles, and you're up in this like elite world, and I feel like there was probably certain people that knew, certain people maybe heard rumors, kind of like the Harvey Weinstein thing, like years before it. Certain people had maybe heard little rumor. They said that's like why Brad Pitt hated him and stuff like that, and like certain little things, but. Then there's probably people that had no fucking idea. They were just running in the same circles. Oh, we're going to party, we're going to drink, we're going to fly on this plane. Maybe so, yeah, I think everybody on that list is a total guilty pedophile. Fuck no. I think there's some people that had no fucking idea what was going on. He was so high up, maybe you met him in parties and maybe but there were certain people that definitely fucking knew. Like,
Yes.
You get like your Bill Gates and your Bill Clinton, and they fucking knew what was going on. Like,
and who's the other guy in the
well, the Prince, obviously,
Prince
he was
and-
the guilty. Oh, the funniest, crazy one that all these memes came out. We were joking at work was Stephen Hawking.
Yes, that's Steve. That's what I was gonna say.
I want to
Stephen
go
Hawking.
to the island. You know,
Oh my
like
god, dude, that is
it's
horrible.
like it's just like what?
It's just, but it's also sad because a lot of people don't want to speak it to power or tell or say that or not even acknowledge that what they thought was wrong. It's hard for people in this day and age.
Well, it's kind of like you said, the
"Oh, I'm
sweep it
wrong."
under the rug, pretend it's not happening.
It's way easier to say, no, that's not true. You're a conspiracy theory. No, I'm not going to believe that. And then they're like, fuck, this motherfucker's right. Like,
right.
it's way easier to save face instead of saying, and I think it's because we become, as a society, too egotistical. It's not uncomfortable for me to admit when I was wrong. I like to admit when I was wrong so I can be back to being a right, justice-driven person. I want to be just.
Right.
I don't want to be unfair. And I don't want to look in the mirror and say, "Oh, there's that liar who cheats on his wife."
Well, and you got to think if you are somebody that's
good for
like,
you, buddy. I love you, man. Fuck that.
yeah, you see, if you are somebody that like considers yourself like left and like liberal, and like you've supported certain people before and really believed in them, and then this kind of comes out, like, so you want to like make it so like the people I liked, no, he didn't do that. You know what I mean? So you're trying to like,
and it's okay.
but you have to at some point admit like, okay, but this is facts. Like this is clearly there's something bad going on.
As long as
here.
the news isn't making a big press run on it, it's hard for people to believe in this day and age. It's been a fact.
Well, the news
because
has already downplayed the Clinton stuff, trying to protect him. You can hear that.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. Like saying he likes him young. We know what the fuck that means. We know what a creepy uncle looks like. It's no surprise to me that there are individuals who have power.
Right.
Who, like,
and I don't think Bill Clinton was like with little tiny kids. I think he's probably like, younger girls, like 16, 17. I mean, that's probably what
stuff,
was
dude.
happening, and that's probably what he liked. And
It's bad stuff, dude. And we need
allegedly
we need to have accountability.
Right.
I don't want to make the Clinton kill list or anything like that, but we do need to have accountability. We need to have justice done upon those individuals who prey on children. If you prey on the youth,
I would hope there would be some sort of justice.
Absolutely, the most despicable shit ever. And you know what? Yeah. Tim Kennedy brought this to light, and it's really, really difficult for me to even process. And I'm going to try to get it out without falling apart.
Yes, sir.
Is that young women and men that are human trafficked? There's often they often get drugged up.
Okay.
And they also often get addicted to drugs and entrapped in these drug rings and these sex rings. And the people, when by the time a group of individuals that is armed shows up, regardless of who they get shown up from, there's veteran agencies who go above and beyond, risking everything to save kids. Mm-hmm. There's people who are contractors that go to save kids. There's people who are a part of the U.S. Marshals who go above to save kids. And there's a lot of people who have their hands tied and they can't work without a crime being proved. And other people who just say, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go and save these kids. Mm-hmm. And there's so many times where they're drugged up and I'm not saying beyond the point of no return, but they're so drugged up and entrapped in that lifestyle they don't even understand that there's a sliver of hope. They can't escape because their pimp's going to beat the living life out of them.
Right.
And they're going to be chained to a wall and I'm not going to go into details, but just horribly abused so many times over. They don't have a sliver of hope.
That was like that the final Rambo movie. Remember that?
Yes.
That's what happened to his was it his niece or whatever? And he got a lot of shit for that movie. Like, they were like, that's racist. It's like, well, but that's actually happening.
It's happening.
So it's not, is it really racist? Like, that's actually happening.
Shedding light on a situation doesn't necessarily mean you're racist. You're talking about someone's personal experience.
It wasn't like he said every single person of that race is doing this.
No.
He's just, this is a thing that can happen, and
there's no race, religion, or creed that protects you from having possibility of bad people being around us. In 2020, there was a big uptick in people condemning police brutality. There's a lot of brutality that goes on outside of the police.
Right.
And
we should condemn police brutality.
Well, 100%. Right. And then with Miss Vanessa down there in Texas at I think it's Fort Hood. I can't remember the correct Fort. I wasn't in the Army, but there was she was brutally murdered and was swept under the rug by the command down there. In military sexual trauma, murder, these violent rings that happen throughout the
In the
throughout
military.
world, in the military, and
Well, that's like saying if
streets
you
too.
say I support the police, but that doesn't mean that you don't think there's probably some very bad actors within that.
There's probably some
that are
fucking
probably
bad
doing
actors,
horrible things.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, definitely.
We've seen quite a few of them.
Right, and that should be dealt with. Like
Accountability, man.
right.
It should be a thing across the board. And
I mean, that's kind of like what you said when you like got in trouble or people got mad at you for like calling out these things that you saw when you were in the
military,
Navy. Yeah. So it's like, but that's kind of what we need more of. Cause
We
like,
do.
You don't want people to get in a position of power and think what I'm doing is okay because everybody else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you want people like you that would be like, this is not right. I don't care. Like, this is not some code of brotherhood where I'm not going to say what happened just because, like, to protect you.
Oh,
or
no.
Like,
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
for
yeah.
many people, they're leaving high school, they're go right in the military, they leave their family for the first time, all these things,
Mm-hmm.
and they get to the ship, and they don't know anything. You're literally a deer in the headlights.
Right.
You have no idea about anything, and then imagine you're a young girl.
Yeah.
You're locked into a 4-year contract.
And you
If
just
you're
want to
lucky,
make money,
or
you get
6.
college. Like, yeah,
And you
yeah,
just want to make money, for college, whatever. You want to see the world, whatever, and you get sexually assaulted, and then you get told that if you talk about it, no one's going to believe you because of the false allegations that are put against men, and there's so much negative information given to you, and now you're a sexual assault victim.
But you're scared to say anything.
And you're scared about losing everything your promotions, your advancements, being painted a problem, losing your career on the ship.
So
you don't have anywhere to go back to.
So you're just quiet.
Am I going to get kicked out? What if it's the person in charge of you, and then they threaten to ruin your Navy career and get you kicked out?
Yep. Yeah.
It's their word against yours.
Well, that's like the position of power thing, right?
It's a very scary thing.
So you have someone in power over you that I don't know, man.
It happens. I have a friend's wife who it happened to, and it breaks my heart that she has so much trauma from that experience because somebody who thought they could get away with it tried to get away with it, and she no matter what, if she
and it's like a
reported it or not, it
helpless
doesn't matter.
feeling, right? Like
Helpless.
Yeah.
So we need to speak truth, and we need to have nuanced conversations, and we need to be respectful of each other. Even if we disagree with each other, doesn't mean I need to be like, "Fuck you, motherfucker," blah blah.
No, there's
Not
like this
way.
weird. I see this like saying a lot, and it's like in certain public places, and some people are like, oh, maybe make fun of it or whatever. But it's like if you see something, say something.
The corny shit.
I
is
think
the most
that's
true.
so fucking good
Yeah.
because it's true. Like you never know. Like you just assume like, well, it's not my life, so I'll just leave it alone. I don't care. Like say if I had a neighbor or something, you see something really bad, and you're like, what's so like maybe the difference was you saying something between like who knows a murder or something. You know what I mean? Like,
dude,
you don't ever know. Like,
I try not to go into too much into detail on instances like this, but there was a situation happened in I think it was 2021. There was a gentleman, his kids playing next door on a trampoline.
Yep.
The mom was a teacher.
Okay.
So the mom was online doing her teaching thing or whatever, working, and the kids were jumping on a trampoline, and it's a low fence, and there was a guy in a car staring at the kids.
That's creepy.
And I noticed him, and I noticed him drive by like 3 times or whatever. I was chilling, doing some housework. I can't even remember. But I left, and my wife noticed something, so she went out there, gun on her hip, and was like, "Hey, listen, motherfucker, you gotta get on out of here. You can't be over here staring. You think it's cool staring at these kids? You think it's gonna be cool?" And he was like, "Fuck off" or whatever, and peeled out of there.
I don't know. I think people don't want to know that stuff's happening. Mm-hmm. But how
like,
do you stop it from happening? You have to be. It's kind of like being able to realize there is darkness, and somebody it's not comfortable to know about it, but somebody's got to know about it to stop it.
We need brave men and women
like,
to step up and do the right thing when it needs to happen.
Yeah.
There's been numerous occasions where I've seen something wrong happening, and I've intervened. And has it cost me a little bit of blood? Yeah, I've bled a couple times because of it. But stepping up when it needs to happen, I can't live with myself knowing that I could have stopped a situation and not that I've been in trouble at work.
Right.
There was a guy who got shot in Seattle, and I was working, and then I chased him, and cause he was running, he was gonna bleed out everywhere. And I like grabbed his hand and brought him to the ground and like held him while he was and stopped the bleeding because he was gushing, dude. It was like a pile of drops of blood.
And he was just in a bad place, basically. Or
it turns out it was a drug deal gone bad. I didn't know. I just saw some guy get shot and then start running,
drug deal.
And I saw the blood gushing out his hand. But he was like, imagine when you run and you have a hole in your body, and you're pumping the blood because you're running faster, and it's gushing out of you. this guy was gonna fucking bleed out.
Yeah, man.
So he had a hole through his hand, and he was just pouring blood on the ground. And
that is so crazy. Like
crazy.
well, just the idea of like the world we live in, like you kind of said, where there's just gotta be we need so much better leadership, so that like we need a world where like you don't want to turn to selling drugs, because you might have to do that.
Yeah. Well, we're on
like
the streets.
if you could get a job that's good and support your family and make enough money to live, but like they won't even let that happen. Like it's almost like, I don't know, just with our economy, like it's like what this is like purposeful almost feeling, you know, like
it's difficult not to think
it's like
that.
there's got to be somebody that could make this better. There's got to be a way to fix this, you know, like why are we sending our money here? Why are we doing that? Why aren't we like fixing our problems here? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
when you support an environment on the streets of Seattle, for example, when you support an environment that says do whatever drugs in the street right in front of the women and children,
right.
You smoke wherever. And I'm not talking about the homeless people. I'm talking about people who are using drugs in an open air environment right there on the streets, destroying what we have as a safe community there. With drugs comes violence. With drugs and violence come theft, and
right.
not just retail theft, but also crime, armed robberies, carjackings. These are all things that are up in our area of Seattle.
Yeah, that's so good.
And working in that environment is very, very dangerous for your.
You work there every day, right?
It's not just dangerous for mental health though. It's also dangerous for how you feel. Like how are you like the environment you're in, looking over your shoulder, trying to fix.
If you're in a dangerous situation all the time, you're going to be in a high level of anxiety.
It's not good. I'm tired of.
You're like a prey animal, just like looking around. You know, like if you're a prey animal, like surrounded by predators all the time, you're going to be constantly stressed.
And how do you not become a sheepdog in the situation? How do you not want to protect yourself when you're in your place of employment? How do you protect yourself? How do you just see something happening in front of you and pull out your phone and take a video of it like a coward instead of either escaping this situation or intervening or calling for help? Right. It's difficult for me to stomach the thought of if I saw a guy get shot and didn't like chase him and like bring him to the ground with like an arm drag and then like I pretty much trapped him there and said, hey, you're gonna bleed out, stop moving, and then the cops showed up and they were like, hey man, did you see what happened? I said, go get me some first aid. Go get your first aid kit. I need a trauma kit. I don't have one on me. Right. All I had was a tourniquet, and dude, that tourniquet was in a different bag, and so I was kind of shit out of luck right there, and he was just gushing like. Here I am.
He just wanted to get away from the cops.
The cops finally showed up. Like they showed up like 12 minutes later. Right. And I'm trying to stop the blood. It's just pouring past my hands, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, just give me a first aid kit. The cop would not bring me his bag until I like pretty much cussed him out, and his partner showed up running with the bag. Thank God somebody did. Yeah. And she was very helpful, but the first guy that showed up was just horrible. And I'm like, dude, like this guy's bleeding out, and you're freaking. Don't try to talk to me. Go get some shit. Yeah. Like, are you that? Don't be fatigued emotionally where you don't have empathy anymore. Just give me the first aid kit. Let me do what I do, and we'll figure it out. But the environment's just dangerous, and this is one of the reasons why I take self-defense. This is why reasons why I take first aid. This is one of the reasons why I take training. Yes. And mentally hardening myself daily, very, very seriously, because I'm not. You do take that serious.
We've talked about that a lot. Like the idea of like, I just can't imagine wanting to be like useless, like physically, or I don't know, dude. It's like I just don't trust the people in charge enough. It's kind of weird because then maybe you become one of the people in charge, basically, because like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I feel like there's like, I just would never be comfortable being just like a trust society guy where like, I have total faith in my leaders. They're going to do the right thing. And it's like,
someone will show up when I
call 911. No, I need to be capable because I don't trust these motherfuckers, like.
There's people that call 911 and no one shows up.
That's horrible.
Because they're too busy dealing with other things.
That's a bad world.
That's the problem about not having enough law enforcement staffing.
I feel like we're running out of law enforcement and even probably military, because when you see leaders make bad decisions over and over again, what incentive does it make you to like want to serve the country or want to get into a police job when you know they're just going to like use you or for something you don't even believe in,
especially when you're involving yourself as a government, we're involving ourselves in wars that aren't unnecessary. Yeah. So because you want to make money, you're going to send a bunch of poor people to die. So what incentive does that make me want to join the military then? If I see you doing things that
Now, if I see you doing a justified thing, like our country needs help and you do the right thing, I will want to go sign up if I'm a younger guy. But if I see you doing things only for political gain, making money, getting involved in situations that we shouldn't because you want to get rich, what incentive do I have to be a guy? Because now I'm not protecting my country. I'm just like being your fucking puppet basically, because you want to like make money in military industrial complex. And like, I don't know, I feel like that's what's making it harder to get people in the military.
And it's a lot of my friends feel the same way.
But we live in a country where you still want to believe in this country, so I could see where people do want to go serve the country, but we need better leaders so that I feel comfortable wanting to do that, right? Like,
that's the cool thing about our country, man. The government can be complete dog shit or horse ass.
Yeah.
And the country is still great because of us.
Yes.
The people who are in it. I think it's great that we have people. We can go up and down the street. If we knocked on every door, we'd see a different color skin,
right,
and a different person, a different race, religion, or creed, or whatever, sexuality, all these things around
and the
us.
people,
and that's what makes us beautiful to be in America. The American flag doesn't just represent old ass Joe Biden in office or Trump still skin in office, orange man bad. It doesn't represent that. It represents us, our neighbors.
I do love that.
It
Yeah.
represents the gym. It represents the freaking bars. It represents rock music. Like when there's this video that's going viral right now where Donald J. Trump said, "I just wanted to come out and tell you that America's the best place on the planet," and then it's all the things. It's Martin Luther King speaking. It's people marching in the streets for equal rights. It's people.
But that is true,
flying.
right?
I'm like, God, dude,
that was a good one. Yeah.
I love that video because it's true. Like,
well, I love what you said because you just like said such an inclusive of everybody. That is America, all of us. All the people that hate each other, it's all of us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and not many people are like thinking like that anymore. It's always so us versus them, us
because
versus
we're not
them.
taught about what makes America great. What makes America a great place is the people that are here, not its policies, not its border security, not the lack of it, not the complexities of gender studies.
Right.
That's not what makes America great. What makes America great is the people in it, not the government, not the community servants even, not the people who protect it. The people here, because when the people leave the military, they're just one of us again.
Right.
And when people before they sign up the military, they're just like us. When people before and after being cops, firefighters, EMT, hospital staff, 911 operators, all these people who are in the first response and last response are military. Those people, they're us. They're us. The people who've been politicians their whole life, they don't know what it's like to be us. The Hollywood actors, people who act for a living,
lose touch,
who are like,
dude.
you need. Hey, I'm The Rock, and I'm here to tell you need to vote for this person, and I'm endorsing them. You don't know what it's like to be me.
Yeah.
I don't care how many videos you do with somebody who's poor and you gift them a great thing. That's great that you did some charity work, man. Not taking away from it at all. Not saying you're a bad person. But you don't know what it's like to be me. You know who does? The average individual like us, who has these who just talks. Hey neighbor, how you doing, man? My wife just died, and I don't know how I'm gonna raise these kids.
Ooh, yeah, that's right.
That's a real situation out here.
Just like the people, you're right. It's like that is what America is people, and like you're saying earlier, the idea of us connecting again more, But that's like I don't know. I feel like everything is almost like trying to make us not connect.
Yes, well,
the dating apps, the internet, the divisive media, news, like when you say that, like, it's cool because you kind of like, I think that's what one thing you're good at, Eddie, is like you kind of ruin a lot of people's like shitty stereotypes. Cause like you're a guy that's super Second Amendment, right? You're like, I mean, some people might say like, oh, Eddie's a gun nut, right? Like something like that.
I would say a gun nut. I'm a gun guy.
Or a gun guy. Say that. But so with that comes all these stereotypes. If I was a gun nut,
I'd have a lot more guns, baby.
No, I know. But I'm saying this is like people's perceptions, right?
Okay,
so like, people lump people in these things, and like you just ruin that because you just say like, I think our country's everybody. It's every color, ethnicity, LGBTQ, like that just ruins their stereotype of like right-wing gun nut hates everybody.
Well, it's because I think everybody should look at.
I think people don't get it. There's like
people don't get it. They don't because they don't care.
People think Iowa is like a bunch of rednecks too, and it's like no, that's not it. They're actually very pragmatic. You know what I mean? Like. People have such a stereotype of like rednecks or people that are like Second Amendment, pro Second Amendment. It's like it's not. It's just not that.
I'll
It's
tell
not
you
what they think.
If people got out of their comfort zone more
Right.
and had talks like this, if people came on your podcast and just shared ideas with you without being
Right.
like, I have no fear of being canceled. I've already been my house has been doxxed in 2020
Right.
for asking a question, and I've been doxxed and I got threatened. I got chased down by Antifa. Like, I had a bunch of weird shit happen. And,
Right.
I don't have anything to fear. I've been canceled. I've been told I've been having my videos pulled off of YouTube for talking about suicide and preventing
No
suicide
shit.
of
They
my
got
friend.
literally taken off.
Yeah, for talking about me stopping my friend from committing suicide at one of my podcasts. It got flagged and taken down. I'm not worried about being silenced. I have no fear of any of that stuff. And when we look at each other and have conversations, break down these walls that divide us, and remove the bullshit ideology that says I can't get along with this person because they voted for Biden or Trump or they're for abortion or against abortion. You know, if we get rid of all these things and we just remember that no matter what, we're human beings and we should not be left wing, right wing. I will never ever say I'm a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a political moderate who cares about my neighbors.
Right.
I have neighbors that are gay as fuck. I have neighbors that are straight as fuck. I have neighbors that smoke weed, that hate weed. I have neighbors that were in the military. I have neighbors that are illegal immigrants. I have a bunch of crazy things.
Right.
And you know what's beautiful about all that?
Right.
Is that there's one flag in this country that represents all of us. We don't need to reinvent the wheel here. We have a flag, red, white, and blue, that represents. Now, was the country fucked up when it first started and there was slavery and all that? Absolutely. And I'm not saying it wasn't. But the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and all these amendments that we've added and the work we've done as a society that's actually been progressive, not just saying progressive for the sake of it, but actually been progressive, that foundation is for us right now to build off of.
Right.
Not for the past. Not to make America.
Yeah, let's make it better.
To make America a better place.
To build back better or make America great again. Either one.
Those statements are trash.
Yeah.
We do it with what we're doing here. It doesn't matter who we
people
elect.
talking to people, right?
People talking to people, man, and that's where we need to be. And
man, I
there's
think
something
you're
so beautiful
right.
about it.
Yeah.
It really is beautiful because in another country, if you try to have a town hall meeting, the cartel's gonna fucking fillet your family.
Oh yeah, that's like we don't have that. That's scary, dude.
I'm thankful we don't have to worry about them.
There's a lot of countries where like you have to do this stuff under the guy like hidden, you know, like it's like how it used to be with like I'm sure it used to be like that here too with certain things before they, you know. I'd say it's cool that we've actually made the progress we have like I still consider myself progressive too, but just like in a different way, like progressive means actually progressive, not pretending, like you said.
Not just saying the word progressive for the sake of it.
Because a lot of stuff that I would say like they think is progressive is kind of actually
it's a retarded to how we live.
Going opposite, actually, like breaking us down.
There's nothing progressive about legalizing the use of fentanyl or heroin or meth on our streets in front of women and children trying to pass by and having to use different agencies and nonprofits to supply Narcan to those individuals while they're overdosing because they were exposed to it on the streets of what's supposed to be the greatest city in Washington State. That is not
Did you just see that you're speaking a little about country music, that guy, his name is Jelly Roll?
Dude.
He went and spoke to Congress, was it?
I saved it in my phone to watch on YouTube downloads.
Which is kind of cool because he's not political, but he's like, this is a thing that means a lot to me. I've seen a lot of friends die of fentanyl. So, like, I don't know.
That's what we need. He's
what we need. He's real.
He's a real guy. We need real
Dude,
people.
when he just blew up and, like, it's from him being real his whole life, you know? Like, when you see a guy like that actually get famous, like, it's like, wow, he deserves it.
We got a real chance here.
That's a real motherfucker.
Like, his song "Save Me" still it resonates pretty.
Dude,
heavily
that song is heavy, and I don't mean heavy like metal. I mean heavy like emotionally heavy.
I like heavy metal too, but yeah, it's definitely.
You know what I'm saying, dude? It's heavy, like emotionally heavy. It's like to be that honest, to be like I'm in a spot where I hate myself. You know?
I've been there, dude.
Yeah.
I'm the first one to admit. There's been times where I thought I was the most despicable piece of shit, and then. And then I just realized I just needed perspective and purpose. The two P's,
right. Yeah.
Those are very powerful things. I wish if I ever wrote a book, I would make sure to talk about the importance of them. Perspective.
You should someday write a book, dude.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. You know what's funny? I think, I can't remember who I was listening to, but they were like, talking about their story, and someone was like, "You should write a book." And he's like, "Really? Like, I'm not. You know, you don't think you're interesting." I don't know. I think people don't realize if they're interesting or not.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna save that thought,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
gonna think about it. I'm gonna talk about it with my good friend group, and
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate you bringing that up, man. But if
You never know, dude. One of my friends at the a trainer at the gym, he wrote a book, and he had a really fucked up childhood. And then he was in the army. He got in a tank accident and had to retire. And he's the one that has like frostbite and everything. And I think the VA is finally like giving him some compensation.
Good.
Like it took him a long time to be able to like present his case, you know. And so I'm happy for that dude because he works every day. I mean, he's a hard worker, and you can tell he's in physical pain. Like he walks like crippled, you know, like.
Damn.
And it's like if there's anybody that actually is not full of shit and deserves to, you know, get compensation, I think this guy's one of them. You know, and there's probably a lot of people like that out there.
There are,
Yeah.
and you know, there's a lot of organizations that do great work in our state specifically.
Right.
They're all a part of the PNW vets group, man, and it's like people like Nine Line. I can just go on. Like, I could write you a list, dude. There's
Right.
a bunch of great organizations, and I've had a few of my podcasts, and it's overwhelming for me to hear that you can go to a retreat if you have severe PTSD and come back feeling like you don't need to murder yourself and remove yourself from life, and not to be ashamed of what you did because you were doing your duty, and we got to come to peace with it. We just need to be comfortable being our warrior, and it's called like Warrior Path. That's the most beautiful thing out there. But
Purpose, and what was the other P?
Purpose and
You just said it.
my brain just disappeared.
It's all good.
But like the idea of purpose itself is
Purpose
so
is
important,
huge, I
dude.
think. People need purpose, and like I think it would really sustain a lot of people that have nothing going. You just find something, find one reason, a reason.
All you need is a reason to live, man.
And go hard with that reason, like go all in. You know, like there's those DDP yoga things. Diamond Dallas Page, the pro wrestler who he helps rehabilitate people, like. You know, and for one guy he had this guy that they spotlighted, he lost a ton of weight, but his purpose was like his dog. So something as simple as that. Like he'd realized he had a problem when he couldn't get up to let his dog out to pee. And that was his like moment of like, oh my God, I'm a piece of shit. I can't even let my dog out. So then he realized I can't work out, but I can start in my bed. And so he had this DDP yoga shit where he can like do certain yoga poses from the bed first. So he would do that every day. Then it went from the bed, graduated to like the chair on the floor. You can lean on the chair and then before long he's doing yoga without it. And then like, you know, at the end of it, he's like a different person. I mean, he's lost all this weight. He's healthy. You know, sadly the dog passed away, but he had to keep going, you know, because dogs, you know, we have different lifespan. And, you know, at the end they gave him this, a painting of the dog. So that was kind of dope.
Dude,
you know,
that's so beautiful, man.
I don't know. He puts these video packages together of some success stories that will just like every time you watch them, they just make you cry. You know,
Those are my favorite. I love.
and I'm like so cheesy. I'm like, damn, that makes me feel good though. Yeah.
I think we as human beings, we do need inspiration. And
Yeah, I'm all about cheesy shit.
Oh yeah. Well,
That's kind of what I was saying earlier when I was earlier. I started this point about like, you know, like when saw my family, they gave me strength to be able to like not worry about getting canceled, say what I actually believe. And one of the things is I realized as I got older is like I'm like all about cheesy shit, like hearty, emotional, like the stuff that I think we got so like I don't know, just like, you know, the 90s, like we got so cynical as a society where like anything, like if we say like, hey, you know, building community is good for you, like someone be like, oh yeah, hang out with my neighbors, that's so lame, you know, like. It's like, no, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people are so cynical that, like, anything good for you or healthy, that it kind of gets to be like, it's a joke. You know what I mean? And I think we're moving past that now.
Yeah, I think we are.
You know?
We got the slopes of society, right?
Right.
Everyone wants to be together, and then people get very negative. And negativity is a very, very dangerous thing. I have to surround myself with people who are way more positive than me for me to remain positive because – you know, unfortunately, I've had a lot of traumatic experiences in life, and for me to consciously move forward, I have to And to me, to be the best version of myself, I need people better than me around me in my circle. I cannot have people weigh me down. I can't have people making horrible decisions because it will help me lower my standards for myself if they have low standards and they're around me. And that's not because I can't fuck with them, but I'm demanding better for myself.
Well, it's kind of like,
like
you start getting too much of that cynical stuff. You're like, I just can't be around that because I don't want to believe like that anymore.
And my wife lets me know when I'm being very negative too. And
well, I get there too, especially when it comes to like this, like the government and shit we're talking about. I get super cynical about.
For people, it's very easy to look at the government and be like, oh, well, they just suck, and I'm just gonna ignore it. But for people, it's hard for me to just ignore it because
I can't just ignore it.
This is sculpting my life. Like when
it is.
When
I feel like we should be somewhat invested in it.
Like how I protect my family with my firearms.
Yeah.
Because I've had deadly force encounters. I can speak this truth. Like I've had the deadly force encounters. I've had the person trying to break down my fucking door to my house. When
you told that story on here once. Yeah.
These things, they're real. Mm-hmm. If she didn't have the right to defend herself. And now she's a villain for stopping somebody breaking down the door.
No, we do not want that.
Like, are you kidding me? Like,
no, that's not.
And you best believe
we don't want that narrative to become the normal narrative.
That's not a good thing. People, and that no one should dictate how you and your family protect yourselves. As long as it's in that light of protecting. If you're out there senselessly murdering people, that's already a crime. We don't need more laws.
No. Yeah.
We don't need more laws to stop that. It's not going to help us.
Yeah.
Like just murder is against the law. We can't stop people from murdering by just saying, okay, well, listen, if you're following the law and purchasing these parts legally, you can't do that anymore. Fuck off.
Right.
It's not going to help. It's not. How is that going to help?
No, but self-defense is a good thing.
Yes, self-defense, and that's why
100%.
Jiu-jitsu is a very serious thing I take extremely seriously because...
Yeah, how is that going right now?
Oh, boy. Dude,
I see you posted all the time about it, so it looks pretty cool.
I never thought that I would ever pay money to get beat up. But
yeah, just rolling with bigger dudes than you, just getting beat up.
Well, also, the people that are smarter than me.
But are better.
Way better, more skills. Man,
yep. I've dealt with that before. That's crazy.
God, man, it's my face right now it's completely raw. I'm covered in bruises all the time.
I actually kind of see that now.
Here, dude. Like,
no way. I didn't even notice that at first, but now you say it, I see the little puffiness by the eyes and stuff.
It's like
that's what that shit does to you, dude.
It's 7 classes a week. I try to average,
that's impressive, man.
It's quite a bit more than most people.
Yeah.
But I don't have any wrestling background or grappling background.
So you're trying to play catch up, basically.
So I just want to flatten the curve. You know what I'm saying? 6 days to stop the spread or whatever.
Flatten the curve, bro.
Seven classes to stop the spread for me and
get the jab.
Yeah, I really want to get the jab. Yeah. I'm really focusing on self-improvement in that category because when you show up to something like jiu-jitsu, you can't show up and be egotistical. So I approached it with a glass completely empty mentality.
Right.
And there's been a lot of great people who have helped me on my journey. I just want to give a shout out to them. Coach Alfie, Mr. Crampon, Coach Schreier, Coach Kyle, Coach Jeff, Mrs. Pearson as well, Jenny, Coach Faye, and Coach Daffron as well. From Dutch Jiu-Jitsu, he's all these great people there. Thomas Harping is, he's got a fight coming up next week. All these great people have really drove me forward in my journey with not just with dragging my ass across the mats and wiping my face across the mat and beating and fucking me up, but also telling me constant criticism with the intent of me and taking it seriously. They wouldn't waste their breath if they knew I didn't care, and they wouldn't allow me the space to practice with people who've been practicing much further than me. And I'm extremely athletic. That does not mean that I'm skilled. So I could be
So you're able to humble yourself enough to be like, I know I'm not skilled in this, so I'm going to listen to these people.
Yes, and I don't want to be spazzy too. So I try to use
because athleticism,
learning movement, and I'm trying not to be too movie, but I'm trying to find that happy balance between being athletic, being muscular, and then using that muscle and that strength, and lowering the intensity to use it as skill.
Right.
It's really hard for me, man.
Because sometimes if you actually do have those skills, you do have those gifts of like muscular, athletic, you might not be able to learn the skill as well because you're like just depending on those things to let you overpower people where you actually need to learn the skill itself. So that could be hard. I see what you mean. Yeah.
And it's definitely, my journey has been increased, like completely uphill, and not I'm feeling sorry for myself, but it's been uphill because I'm training so much and I'm learning and I'm gaining skills and knowledge. But it's for me. I feel I have the white belt for life mentality. I don't want to ever to ever learn something new and not think that my glass is full.
Dude, the minute you start thinking you're the shit is the time you get taken down.
There's always a bigger fish.
You never want to feel like that, man.
There's a guy that's like 5'2".
Confidence is good, but like you get in that. That's how you get in that zone where like someone's gonna take you down because you were just resting on your laurels. You were thinking like, oh, I have all my shit together.
Oh, it's wild.
It's like I feel like I always want to never think I have my shit together. I always want to be trying to get better.
And there's kids there too. So you'll have a kid that's been training for like 9 years.
Yeah.
And they might have like literally half my body weight, but all the skill in the world, and they'll show up at the adult class.
Yeah.
To try to like plead their case
why
like,
shit, I just got beat by a kid.
Damn it. And I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I got to be really, really skilled here and really focused on my basics, and hopefully I don't get destroyed. I need to try some unconventional things, and that's been my approach so far.
No, that's good, dude. You got it.
Things.
Yeah. That's so funny, man. That's good. So good for you, though.
Yeah. Well, there's so many great teachers there, and a lot of them are part of the training team for defensive tactics for the police in our area. So they're actually not just doing great things on the mats, but off the mats.
I always think that's a great thing for police.
Yeah.
To learn, you know what I mean? Shit.
More tools to not shoot people when you're in a situation where you're just fearful.
Right.
And more controlling force where you don't have to use tasers and OC spray.
Right, because the last thing you want is a police officer that doesn't feel competent, doesn't feel capable, because then they're going to get scared and do something maybe, you know what I mean? Like
fear
that
will
could
cripple
happen.
you. Fear will cripple your decision.
Make a bad decision. Yep. And you want to use certain deadly force as a last option, you know? So, like, you don't want scared police officers. You want capable, well-trained, very measured police officers, right?
Unfortunately, when we defund our police forces,
that was the dumbest thing ever.
The most common area it takes away is with training. And, dude, once a month is not good enough to show up to jiu-jitsu and learn some skills while you're in your gear.
Yeah.
Weapon retention, learning how to stop somebody from fighting you without punching them or elbowing them in the face a bunch of times and knocking them unconscious.
Excuse me.
Because striking somebody can we've seen it with that boxer who got hit in the back of the head and now he's in a wheelchair, can't move.
That's rough.
Himself.
You see a young, healthy athlete, and then all of a sudden they're like crippled. I saw that. That's sad. It's so sad. All right, next, Eddie. I was gonna ask you, what do you think about what do you think 2024 is going to be like? What do you think?
Oh, boy.
I listen to Patrick Bet David podcast all the time. He calls it the year of chaos. You know, so it's like, I can see that. I think it is going to be a chaotic year. But he has this other saying to go with it that says, it's a really positive saying. I can't remember what it is right now. But, anyway, so he's like, it's the year of chaos, but we're going to be positive. And I feel like it is going to be a really good year for some reason.
This is going to be a phenomenal year, not just because – praying to God everything goes right. I get to hold a future child in August.
Huge, yeah.
But not just that, it's going to be a tremendous year because right now it's a chance for change.
I think so too.
The past little bit, we've had people who have been running for office who have done nothing but push the same policies that are damaging us. If we as a society on every single level do not say, hey, I don't want to vote for the same thing, and I'm not just going to vote for something else just because we don't want the same thing. I want to speak to my representatives. I want them to know what we actually want, not what the loudest person screaming with a sign and burning and spray painting shit on the wall says. The loudest screamer is usually the person who politicians cater to. We need to make noise properly by holding town hall meetings, by conversing with our friends, by signing
more local
petitions. We need to get organized and not in a violent way to overthrow the government, but get organized in a way to create a government that serves and caters to the people. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't like what you believe in and you don't like what I believe in, but can we find some common ground? Do you think that kids matter? Okay, wow.
Right. Do you think education matters? There's a common ground.
Do you think our school system is horribly flawed? And that the Department of Education at a federal level has done more harm than good lately to hurt to damage our schooling. Absolutely.
Yeah, so if you can find common ground, yeah.
Why are our test scores getting worse? Why are we making it easier to fail in school and telling our kids that when you grow up you can fail and still make it? You can't.
You actually can't. Yeah, that's not helping.
You
them.
need to run into.
Well, that goes back to the coddling. Coddling doesn't actually help people. Yeah.
So 2024, I would say it's going to be a very complex, positive year. It's going to be exactly what we make it as a society. If we do the same shit that happened in 2020, just burn the bitch down, and be negative and have conflict between neighbors and between friends because of our beliefs, instead of having conversations and finding common ground, it's going to be exactly worse than 2020.
So that's what the saying was on that Patrick Bet David podcast, was the future looks bright. So I like that. So you're saying it's going to be a chaotic year, but we have to say this: the future looks bright. So, because people, they want us to think it's going to be a chaotic year, fighting between the parties, World War III, all these but if you fight back, like you said, with positivity, more connection than separation, finding that common ground and stuff, that's how we could make it a better, you know what I mean? Also focusing on ourselves too, and how can I be a better person, because that actually leads to, influencing other people. And, they always say, start with yourself, right? If you want to save the world, start with yourself.
Be the hero in your own story. We can all do it.
Yeah. And that's tough, but you can do it,
That what you just said right there gives me a lot of hope and also faith. It reminds me that, hope is a person that looks at fire and like, oh, I don't know, I might, and they walk around it, but faith walks right through that shit, and it reinvokes faith in me that we can create our own story, and having the conversations. But more than just having the conversations, going outside of this conversation and having other ones with other people. Every single conversation I've had about politics and stuff like that, and what we can do to better our society, has been great. I've had, I can't even name how many conversations I've had with people who are extremely liberal and extremely conservative about how we find common ground, and reminding them that it's not up for them to dictate how other people live life. It's pathetic to think that we can dictate how other people view things, but we can find common ground. And it starts with simple conversation. We don't need to argue with each other. The truth doesn't get mad. Remembering these small things can create a better society for our children. And also, we need to stop removing rights of individuals. Instead, we need to stop removing rights of individuals. If we are
not a good move.
It's not a good move. We need to. There's nothing about life that says you should not be able to protect yourself. It's an unalienable right of self-defense. Also, to help.
I'm with you on that one. I don't see that going in a good place at all. No.
It's a really bad idea also for us to sit over the past 8 years and say the government's bad, the government's bad, the government's bad, and then to say, yeah, they're the only ones should have guns. That's a fucking stupid idea. And I think
that's one of the dumbest ideas ever.
You're not stupid for believing it, because it sounds really good when we say it's about the kids. The kids are not going to be able to protect themselves from any oppressive force, whether it's a criminal entity or whether something bad happens.
Right.
If they don't have the ability to own firearms, and in a gunfight, you may just need more than 10 rounds. I'm just going to put that out there.
I guess it sounds good if you don't consider yourself a fully capable, fully formed person that should have the same rights as the people who are in power of you. If you just want to be led, if you just want to be somebody's basically, cattle, then yeah, that's what to me, that's the idea that these people in power are way better than us and should have rights that we don't also have, to me is the biggest, no.
How I often present it to my
friends. You know what I mean? No, we do not want to go there.
At all.
No.
How I present it to my friends usually is this, and it's really short and simple. Every single day, the people who are paid by our taxpayer dollars are protected by government entities, security, federal police, state-level agencies, and police forces. And they do use it in situations just like the Chicago mayor to protect their own interests and themselves. Why would you let them strip you of yours ways to protect yourself?
Right, or if I'm a rich actor, I could hire security to watch my house, or so it's kind of shows how out of touch they are too.
Yes.
Well, what about the poor people?
What about us?
What about they can't protect their fucking houses too? No, I voted this. It's not to get too into that shit, but yeah, that stuff drives me nuts.
We have to start thinking about what's good for all of us.
Yes.
To make 24 a great year, we have to look at what's good for all of us and talk about what's good for all of us instead of thinking inward. because my guns aren't going to just wake up and go shoot up a school. My guns are there just to keep my family safe, and
Just
that's what
I
it
just
is.
want
That's what
poor
it is.
poor people should have the same rights as elite and rich people
Yes.
and actors and actresses, and that's where I feel like the disconnect is. It's like you're saying you want these rights lost for people because you know that you won't lose them.
Yeah.
So it's okay. So that means you're saying like, well, they're just peasants. They're underlings. They shouldn't have these rights. How can they have? They're not smart enough. They're not intelligent enough to have these rights that I do because I went to college and I'm better. And
It's disgusting.
it's that I just hate that shit, dude. Like no, like everybody has the same rights. You don't have to be a rich elite fucking. You know that's why it's weird when you're not scared of something. You're so willing to take it away from somebody else because you know you won't lose it.
I know that's right, man.
I do not like that.
And
yeah.
I don't like power grabs and
Yeah.
we have this freedom thing. It's not fragile. But it's sensitive.
Yeah.
It is very sensitive. Our freedom changes, and thankfully there are people out there who advocate for firearm rights, especially for ladies. You know, we talked about the things that ladies do to protect themselves. Firearms is just as important for.
Yeah,
ladies
you've been a
as for
big
men.
advocate of that, right?
We need everybody to be able to protect themselves, and in a time like this, where it's been said that there is an uptick in violence against people who are gay, straight, trans, everybody, right?
Right.
Everybody should know that there are people out there who are advocating for you to be able to protect your firearms. I'm not talking about the NRA. I'm talking about actually people. FPC, Firearm Policy Coalition. You can find them on Instagram, and they are actively working to sue any government entity that wants to take away your right to self-defense. And that's something I can get behind because we can't just sit here and just argue. Oh, we need to guns. Yeah, guns are useful tools, and practicing them is very important. But,
Well, yeah, seeing the other side too. Like, yeah, you don't want some society where it's like the old Wild West where everybody's just fucking shooting each other.
which is why safe, responsible, sober. I cannot say sober enough when it comes to firearms. Sober,
Yeah, don't
moral,
mix alcohol.
prudent individuals. Like active self-protection is a great tool I use to learn more about self-defense. You can watch almost any police shooting that's ever takes place on police activity on YouTube and see the good shoots versus bad shoots, and you can see how stressful these situations are. And ask yourself, what would you do in a situation if you weren't a cop and this violent individual just decided, hey, to take off of you and start busting caps at you randomly? You know, just take away the situation because it does happen. Carjackings do happen, and cars are not necessarily a safe place. So think about your safety. Think about your family, and returning to them is very important for me to get home. So I'm going to do whatever it takes to safely and responsibly protect myself, my family, and my friends. It's not just like being a responsible gun owner doesn't mean I'm gonna let somebody next to me get carjacked. It ain't cool. I'm not just gonna stand there. And I'm gonna step up. And it's great that we have people who are comfortable doing that because they practice being cool, calm, and collected in those situations. And jiu-jitsu has definitely helped me not be fearful in uncomfortable situations. It's hard to deal with getting smeared and smothered by somebody. How do I get out from under this individual? It's an uphill battle, but it's worth every second of practicing being a better person.
Right. And that's what it's all about, trying to just better. I don't know, just get better. Better like everything, like you said, spiritually, emotionally, physically. I don't know. I just feel like that's what life is about, like. And I think that comes with the level of having to be honest with yourself. Yes. That's the way we get better. People are so scared of like looking themselves in the mirror, seeing the bad things about themselves, and how do I deal with this and get better?
That's right.
So if you just keep putting it off, you never deal with it. You're not going to make any progress. And I don't know. Yeah, I feel that, dude. That's so not to get too into that stuff, but I'm with you on that 100%.
Hell yeah, brother. Well, what do you what's next for your future, for your goals this year? How do you think this year's going to go?
I think it's going to be a great year. I actually think 2024 is going to be good for us because I agree with you that I think there's been so much contention for so long that it's going to force some kind of change for the better, I hope. I think that I think there's been such, for the last maybe 5 years, there's been kind of a weird, it's social media, and I think it's kind of starting to come to a head, and something's going to happen. I hope it's good. But I do think it's going to be good. And I think if we do the things you're talking about, I spent the last year building a personal training business, and it's going really well now.
Good for you, man.
So that's kind of where I am right now. That's what I'm focused on. And then also I want to get the podcast back into that mix, as part of it. And just it's kind of like you said, you're kind of like the people that you're around or who you're going to end up kind of like. So it's like, just keep like going in that direction of like, and then not letting people drag you down. Like, I feel like there's a weird thing, like you start going in a direction, there's going to be like, they say like a good test for your friends is like make a positive change in your life, and you'll see who is actually your friend. Because the friends who are actually your friends they're going to be happy for you about it. Oh, yes. The ones who are not are going to want to bring you right back down to where you were. They're not going to like that you changed for the positive.
Bottom feeders.
That's how you know you got not a good friend. Kind of like you said with the dude. Like, a good friend is the one that comes up, you're drunk in a bar and they see you hitting on a girl, but you're married. Bro, remember that girl at home, your wife? Let's get you out of here. That's a good friend. And then maybe you're like, oh shit, what was I doing? Like maybe it helps you. Like, yeah.
You should feel shame.
I mean, you shouldn't even be in that situation anyway, but I'm saying a good friend is the one that's going to help you get out of that.
100%, dude.
So, but I do think 2024 is going to be an awesome year. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like if we stay on top of our shit, it's going to be a good year.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like maybe it's the year of like more honesty and truth.
Yes.
And getting away from the idea that that's bad somehow or that it hurts people's feelings.
You know it, man.
And I think like truth, it seems to me, is kind of like a superpower in a way, because once you kind of do that, there's not much that anybody can do to you to like hurt you, because it's like, you know what I mean? Like, if you can kind of get the skeletons out and you face them, and like you said, that dude on that podcast talking about that, maybe that was the worst thing he didn't, want people to know about, but now he's talking about it. Mm-hmm. Now there's really nothing anybody can do to you because you've already said the worst thing. It's like, I don't know.
There's so much power that comes with truth, my brother, and you're.
It's scary though.
Yeah, it is scary.
Yeah.
But we're in the age of information, and it's like this is my last nail in the coffin for any questions I had about how are we going to move forward. It's a for sure thing for me that we live in the age of information, and the government can't lie to you. The news can't lie to you in the age of information.
Right.
The technology is moving and we see things, and we can watch the full video right there in front of us. It doesn't matter what the government says. We can see the truth right in front of us.
That's a good thing. I think it's stopping corruption, basically.
I think it's gonna and
it's a lot harder to corrupt.
It's harder to be corrupt.
Yeah. It's harder to be corrupt because the minute you're lying, somebody's gonna be calling you out for lying.
And I'm happy for it.
I am too. I like it. I think that's one good thing about social media. I think I'm starting to like I think social media sucks and it's evil, but there's so many good positives about it if you use it the right way. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but yeah, I do think it's gonna be a good year. And I mean, shit, yeah, dude, you got a baby coming, and it's gonna be fun, dude. I think if we just keep telling the truth, keep working on ourselves, trying to be better, I think the future is gonna be bright.
Hell yeah, man, and I definitely agree, dude, and I'm excited for it.
All right, man. I think that might be a good spot to call this one good. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we sign off?
Absolutely. I just want to always make sure I do this. I cannot
give a shout out. Yep.
Say it enough. I want to thank each and every one of the men and women serving this United States, in the military, in the law enforcement community, all the good ones out there, all the good firefighters out there, the great EMTs, and the 911 operators, and to each and every person who's actually listening to this, because every day you wake up and choose life and choose to live is a positive thing, and having human connectivity, even if it's through listening to a podcast, is extremely important. We yearn for that connection, and we yearn to live. And if you're ever thinking about removing yourself from that equation that makes this human connectivity possible, please don't, man. Talk to somebody, and don't choose to just drink your problems away. Don't choose to end your life quick, because there's going to be people that miss you, and I can't say the pain that it leaves people with when you pass it. Please don't pass the pain and choose life. Your children, your family, the people around you, your mother, sister, cousin, sister, auntie, the neighbor down the street who just waves to you every time when you're smoking a cigarette outside. They're gonna miss you, and we are gonna miss you. And you can always reach out to me or somebody else around you. You don't have to really know us very well to care for us to care. And if you were on a bridge, someone's gonna stop and check on you. So please don't end up removing yourself from this world, because your life has value, and life is not the same without you here. And to my friends who ended their life last year, I wish you were still here, and you're missed. And for those struggling with mental health, don't give up. You're worth it. Your life is worth it. And if anything, just focus on getting to the next day. Just start with getting up out of bed and keep progressing from there. Your dreams are waiting for you to sprint towards them. So don't stop running.
I like that, man. I like that. I really like even just like the neighbor smoking the cigarette thing, because you never know like how much like joy maybe you bring just a small little bit to like. I think it goes back to your community thing. Get with people. People care about people, dude.
Yes.
Like, we take it all for granted, but like if you're open to other people, they'll be open to you. You know. So I think that's good message for everybody. And Eddie, I thank you so much. You're helping me basically get the podcast back off the ground after this lull.
We're rocking.
You know, I started personal training, so I had to put a lot of time and effort into that business, but now it's time to get this rolling. And you're always one of my favorites, so I really appreciate you being here. And congratulations on your soon-to-be being a father. And let's wrap it up, man. Appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time.
Let's love y'all. Peace.